Okay. Can everyone hear me? Okie doke. Hopefully I'm not too loud. Just waiting on, see if anyone joins in. Let people start listening. Yeah. And now time for The Adventures of Henry and James, coupled together, torn apart. Henry, did I say James? Henry and Gordon. Henry, I'm home. What time do you call this? Oh, not this again. Yes, this. Yes, this. It was here again. Henry, what have I told you about this? It was in the dark, in the shadows, and spoke to me of your demise. Henry, for God's sake, this shed is dark, it is not haunted. You weren't here, you don't know. Henry, there's no such thing as ghosts. Right? Right? Sorry guys, I couldn't resist. Yeah, that was like pre-recorded. And guess what? So's this. Sorry, I couldn't resist. This is real, I promise. This is real now. Oh shit, turn that down. I know, I'm a dickhead. Anyone shit themselves? You could do live streams and pre-record the whole thing, couldn't you? And just like really freak people out, going to like, predict the future and stuff. Really like fucking piss people off. Right, so just to prove I genuinely am here now. Hi, Ty Hammonds Jr. Thank you, Crisis is here. Hello, Cage P. Hello, Josimar Perez. Hello, Sketch Girl. Hello, Joe at work. What are you doing at work? What are you doing watching this at work? Hello, Spooky Dong, Spidey Boy, Smiley Face Studios, John Claude Swatch. Ginger Ninja Lewis. Amazing Gamer. Sorry about that. I couldn't resist. You know when something seems like a good idea at the time, and then you think, that probably wasn't a good idea. Hello, Emily the Emerald Engine. Hello, Dasherpy. Hello, Moses the Black. Hello, oh, that's you again, GW Shunter. Sorry, GW Shunter, you're about to nap. Hi, Blue Comet. Hi, Toby Afton. Thank you for saying it's okay. Smiley Face Judas, I'm sorry you shat your pants. Oh dear. Okay, let's look at some. So I've been scouring, trying to find stills and things like this. What I have got is my work in progress from the shed scene. So we'll try and pull some bits apart and let you have a look. Things like this. But I've been trying to find. I haven't kept the animations, you see, from Shed. So it's like I haven't got a lot to show people. Nothing sort of new. I've tried to break apart some effect scenes that didn't have massive 3D animations in. Fortunately, for some reason, I kept all the 3D footage from the Shed scenes, which I'm going to have to delete after this because it takes up about 20 gigabytes on my hard disk. But so here we go. So this was an early. Let's just have a little tweak of this shot. This was an early... There we go, magic. That was an early picture. I made some of the main characters and just made a little thing. This is probably just to show to Thomas the Tank Moosh, who some of you may know as Joseph Marshall. This was just, you know, just sort of a supposed to be promotional thing. So this was all done in Bryce, which is an old program. I don't recommend it. It's made for, well, you can see it's made for landscapes, things like that, so you can create weather and stuff like this. I'm going to turn my volume down because I think I'm going to be too loud. I might be too loud, I don't know. Owen Ruth looks odd. Yeah, it's an early Owen Ruth. He hasn't got his extra bulges for his hair. And Gordon, that was an early model of Gordon. His wheels aren't the right colour. I'm pretty sure I fixed that later. But this was all in Bryce, and sadly I can't reload Bryce scenes because I haven't got it installed anymore. Yeah, so what else have we got here? Right, so this is a breakdown of the Robin and Rosie scene. So this was at the end during the titles. It was the characters Robin and Rosie from Cockleshell Bay as they, and this is what happened to them as they grew up and their seaside town kind of got washed up, which is a real thing that really did happen. So that's just a picture of a homeless man, well, you know, sorry. And then he had a face, a 3D face, and then you got to put the coat and everything over his face so it looks as though his head is going down. It looks as though it has a neck behind the jacket. And then, oh, you're adding the bag and the ball and everything in front of him, so he's moving. There you go. I'm quite proud of that. I thought it came out quite good for the time, you know. That was a Bryce animation as well. And then we've got the racist woman. So this is real footage of a racist woman. I was looking ages for this. It's amazing how many racist people are on buses in Australia. If there's any Australians tuning in, it's quite try to find stuff, and there's a lot of crazy people. So here we go. So she has a rant. When I rendered this earlier on, I realised I didn't include the audio, which is probably for the best because it wasn't beeped or anything. So we don't want to hear some racist woman ranting. If you notice, it's her out of Hunger Games, isn't it? Isn't that? Yeah. So she has a rant. There you go. So you black her face over. Aha. And then we put, then we put that guy's face on there. Just so he's not sort of, well, we can't have humans on it, obviously. And then, so she has two faces. She has two faces. One is without the open mouth, and then we're going to render the open mouth head as well. Render it doing the same movements, and then do a flicker between the two. It's kind of just random how a mouth's opening. And I fucked up there when I re-rendered it. Look, you can see there's a gap there. See the gap there in the face where the hand should have been, and I put it in there. It's in at the wrong time. There it is. Oh, that was lucky, wasn't it? There's a gap there. That's where a hand was meant to pass in front of her face, and I've obviously timed it wrong. And there we go. And she has a rant. There we go. That's the Costa Concordia scene. YouTube keeps loading, which is annoying. Is anyone else having problems with the YouTube stream? I've set it to very low quality rendering and ultra low latency. The idea being that I'm not reading comments like, yeah, see, I'm getting comments now. Now, last time I did this, it was taking ages for any comments to come up. Not really. G1 Monster versus Metallo versus Ultron. Yeah, G1 would beat both of them because G1 isn't susceptible to kryptonite, and Ultron's just a bit of metal. Just stand on him. This is a Tugs meme here. No problem at all, fine here. Good. I know some are having trouble, sorry about that. You have to kind of get it working for the you have to kind of have it working for everyone. Why does John Claude Schwartz keep saying Henry was disposed of because of what he knew about Shed 17 after discovering that Thomas wasn't biofused at all, so Thomas had to go there alone and find out without giving up? That's absolutely right. Yes, that's what happened. Yes, because he didn't give up. That's right. So this is like the original Costa Concordia scene, and that's the water is just the water in the Forte. And I just made it ripple, and you have to kind of do an outline around the ship. And so you basically say, outside of the outline, that's where we want it to ripple. Oh, look, there's a human hanging out the window there. There you go, there's a plot hole. And you can see where there's kind of a join where the rippling kind of hits the boat, and it doesn't work properly. Because I'm crap. And then we whoosh down here, then we have bubbles. These are just rendered in After Effects. And then it goes to nothing, and what we do is we overlay the bubbles over this scene, which is just sadly I don't have the separate parts to this anymore, so I can't show you the rest of it, but basically it's got sort of a layer effect on it. You put a plane, different sort of flat objects behind, and make them slightly see-through, so you get a cloudy effect in the water. I think was this 3DS? I think it was 3DS. I sort of recognised the cloudy effect. I think it was 3DS. And the face was, I think it was a round face from another engine. Very lazy. I didn't really concentrate on details because I didn't think there'd be this many people. Say Panini. Panini. There you go. Oh, what the hell is that in the tank? Well, we'll show you. It's another Thomas. We'll show you because we've got those scenes. Here's some photos I used for crew. Obviously, we added grim clouds and made it look all sort of grainy in Photoshop. Different one. I don't know if I used all these. Some of these were used as in like little montages. That is a big, I didn't take this photo, a big like wraparound photo of Steamtown at Carnforth. I wanted to go there when I was making Shed 17 to take photos, and then I realised that it had been shut for about 10 years. But am I stupid? More old shots. So these didn't have to be made to look grainy or anything. I think I probably made the other photos match these. You had a bit of colour as well, just to make it sort of browny and nasty. These sort of things look nice. They already look pretty grainy. I don't know who took these. There's ones here I didn't use. In them there, don't think I used that one. Maybe I used that one. There's that's not very funny, but that's what the front of the crew gates are supposed to look like. Didn't use that. Maybe used that. I'm not. Is that real? Doesn't look real. That I think I have another photo of that coal loading thing at the back. I think it's a coal loading thing. That I didn't use. I wish I did. Nice, isn't it? God, I've got. Oh, I think is that the same thing as before. Anyway. I'm going to do Toby Afton. I'm going to do the dishes, I bet later. Okay. Yeah, I know where Harbish Mash Freist is from. When we do a documentary video on tugs, tugs is violent enough. I don't want to do tugs. It wouldn't be very good. Wow, there's a lot here. Okay, so this is from the Edward scene. So that's them looking normal, and then so that's one blood scene. So what you do, you highlight the whole models, all the parts of the models, and you add the blood texture. And as you can see, it's the same blood, it's the same patches on every model. So then there's another one, and it's a different image of blood. And there it is again with another different image of blood. And then in Photoshop, you just sort of swap them around a bit and paint over them and erase some of it, just so the blood looks different on each character, because it just looks terrible, that, doesn't it? Oh, here we go. Right, so there's the front of Edward, and there's the back, and what happens here is the
So the blood effect was pixels. So it's like little red dots that fly out from his whistle, and you have to have them flying behind him there, but in front of his rear. You know, he's a bit behind. So that's why you do the front bit separately. And you can see where I fucked up the on these little tyre wheel cover things there. You can see I've ballsed up the texture. You can see it just sticking out there. I can't point. You can't see the pointer on the screen, so I can't point to it and say, "Oh, look at this here." Hitler. All comedy videos should have Hitler. That was rendered for a promotional shot, which I think ended up as an image in the background. Yes, we know his wheels are grey. I've fixed that since. Oh, now this was one of the Goetze family images, and if you look, that's Thomas before I changed his face. Now it must have been Thomas the Tank Moosh or Sam the Angel Fox who said that looks weird. You've got to redo that. So I made his face. Well, I had another look at it, and I think I made his eyes bigger. Isn't that really creepy though? Huh? Dun dun dun! That'd give you nightmares, wouldn't it? Eh? Everyone print that out and put it up in the bedroom. You wake up in the morning, that's there next to you, like fuck. All comedy videos should have it, like yeah. These are stills. So this was Wilhelm when he not Wilhelm. Yeah, Wilhelm. Is Wilhelm? Yeah, Wilhelm. Yeah, sorry. He appears in. This is him. So the idea is he's gone back to Germany at some point, and he's took photos in front of. So I'm just looking at comments. I hate Thomas Boy until you change the face. Yeah, it's a bit weird. And then we put these photos in front of old Germany photos. And there's some shots there. That's Hans Goetze escaping from the cameras. You see, I haven't really got the bending of the arms and stuff right yet. That's not very subtle. It's just a straightforward bend, so it looks really sort of weird. Another one there. I ballsed this up. I was just renaming files, and this is young Hans growing up, and it's basically just stretch the image. Oh, and now he's got a moustache. Yeah, same person, he's just got a moustache. Oh, and he's got a new suit. There he is, he's got his mortarboard on. God knows why they have this. Why do they have a big flat thing on top of their heads? What's that for? Oh, there he is! Anyone who was freaked out by the early picture, here it is again. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Paul, what the fuck are you doing? I'm going to do that for about 2 hours now. Family photo. So that was obviously put in the background. You see where the texture on young Hans's arms. You see this on a lot of models. The texture for the fingers starts again on the shoulders. I always have to keep an eye out for that. I got better at that. Oh, and here's an early test of Thomas breaking out of his shell, and I was doing this with different, it was basically just to send to people and say, oh, look, what do you think of this? And I was doing it with different lighting. So there was that, and then there was that, and they both have something going for them. I don't know which one I prefer. I think that's probably best because it's clearly a skull. That one looks a bit less realistic. Who knows? And then that was a. Oh yeah, I brought that up in 3ds and just rendered one still. Now what I did it with that's a transparent background image. That's why the background keeps disappearing on this Windows viewer. But don't do down for 2 hours. Okay, I'll do it at the end. and if you don't have a black background, when you remove the background, you still get those sort of green areas if you're using a green background. I can't remember if I rendered it just with a green background and then remove the green like a real life, like a real life green screen effect, or no, I can't remember. Here's the rails. So what we did with this, darkened it up, made it look like night. This was for the flying kipper. And what we did was, I'll fuck this up again, look, it's renaming it. What I did was removed the rails. So you Photoshop out the rails. Those have the rails on, but, and then so the rails match Henry and his train moving. You add 3D rails. So you render the rails as well as Henry moving, if that makes sense. There's a dead guy. I put these on because I thought, well, possibly they haven't all been used in Shed 17. So in this one, you'd remove the rails, the foreground rails, the rails that are closest to you, the rails on the right basically, because that's the rails that Henry's going to go through on. And you create some light effects on the sides. So there could be lights just bouncing off nothing, something you're going to remove, but you've got some light there and it looks as though it's reflecting off something in the photo. So it looks nice. Quite hard to do day for night. It's I've tried day for night and sometimes it totally fucks up and sometimes it works really nice. There's some more dead people. Those are pictures of trees in the background. I got some clip art of trees. I actually found it. You see on the left there the textures for that coach, which is a coach out of a book. Coach, tanker, whatever you'd call it, truck. And it's actually from a book. Sometimes these would load properly, sometimes they wouldn't. So it's someone else's model, but I own it because I bought the book. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. More photos I've used. There we are, bit of a dead bloke. More rails. So again, we'd remove this and maybe stop the animation before it turns, because trying to make a whole train, the train and all the trucks turn at the same time, well, not the same time, one after the other, it'd be like, fucking hell, that's a pain in the ass. Dead. Oh, that had the gates fence removed, obviously. Well, maybe the rails are buried, or maybe it used to have rails, or maybe it never had rails. Maybe the rails are on the top, and then it was a road underneath. I bet that's what it was. Anyway. God, Paul, I'm really glad I tuned into this. Cheers, mate. Just going through these. I didn't use all these. Maybe there was more in the trailer. There's a trailer that probably used more of these. You see where the rock logos didn't work? Oh, here we go. These are all distant shots in the original video, weren't they? So Fat Controller, he's got a hanky tied around his face, and obviously it's supposed to look hanky-like, so white with red spots. And I forgot, he's got some cool sort of 70s villain sunglasses. Nice, isn't it? He was quite trendy when he was a baddie. You see how the texture's not really working on the back there. There he is having a look round again. There he is again. These are all added to real photos. That's the crash scene. So rusty rails. Made some nice rusty rails. I don't use them now, unfortunately, but and the background again is because I couldn't do trees at the time. I've discovered in 3ds you can just find, there's an option just to create trees, and you just go click tree there, click tree there, click tree there, and they don't take long to render. If you try downloading a model of a tree and putting it into your program, they're an absolute nightmare. They just take forever to render. So that's just pictures, just flat pictures. If I could zoom in on them and move around them, they're like video game trees. It's like they'd just be flat. You ever played a video game where they have these flat trees, and if you look at the old versions of Microsoft Train Simulator, if you did like the outside the train look, you'd see that the fucking tree would turn around. Emily the Emerald Engine. What do you keep saying hey Paul for? Are you going to ask me a question? Okay, this is boring. Bye. Sorry. I was trying to find something interesting. Is Emily going to... Oh, hey Paul. Was Shed 17 the reason to why we never saw Barry and the austerity engine in the Railway series? Did they develop? No, look, I don't know the canon stories that well, so I didn't think of things like that. I've had people who say, you know, I think your story fits into the canon story with this, and then they go into real detail, and it's very good. They've obviously went to a lot of trouble, but I'm like, I don't know the canon story that well. I'm not an expert like probably all of you guys. Oh yeah, that's the iron lung, so that's just a photo I found of an iron lung, and then that's the head I made for Thomas. So it's basically just a sort of lumpy sphere or a cylinder I made and sort of bent, distorted it so it looks like there's eye sort of sockets for the eyes and a bulge for the nose. It doesn't look that good. And then put on a bandage effect. Again, it's too much. There's not enough detail there. There's the video I just used to scare the fuck out of you guys. Sorry about that, by the way. We'll just play it back, turn down a little bit. Put this together yesterday, but I just recorded the voice about 2 hours ago. Where are we at? There we go. Look, it's supposed to be a snake coming out of his mouth. Good, eh? It's just stock fire and stock the same embers I used for the diesel scene in Project G1 in the foreground, and it's like a oh no, it's just photoshopped on, and that thing coming out of his mouth, and it's got like a snake skin texture attached to it. Who says I'm not fun? Sorry, couldn't resist. Oh, here's Keith throwing up. I'm happy. I'm happy again. Oh no, I'm happy. What? So let's see Keith react to some comments. Please make a separate video of the scary adventures of Henry and Gordon. Oh, Keith doesn't like that idea. Oh, he's okay. He's okay. He's thinking it might come out all right. Keith, what about all the people who asked for a Shed threequel? Oh no, you don't like that, do you, Keith? No, Keith. Imagine the hundreds of people who are gonna keep saying, "Where's it at? Where's it at?" for like 3 years. Oh no! Look what you've all done. You've made Keith throw up. Oh, it's pretty good. This, you could make a little Keith pop video. Oh, I can't do it. Can't move the mouse wheel fast enough. Yeah. It's a headbanger. Sorry. Anyone who's having an epileptic fit now, that's my fault. Sorry about that. This is from the Mavis burning scene. So this was in Bryce. You can see these are all stock models, stock images. You can see 2 of Shed 17s in the background there on the right. Again, it's nothing like the actual. It's nothing like the inside of the shed. Obviously, that's like a model of some kind of rail yard or something, a rail, I don't know, shed or something behind one of them sheds, and then that thing is like a gas canister or diesel thing. Is it like a fuel container thing? Kind of. I don't know. A lot of you have recognised this. Is this a model from the series? Or is this a toy? It's I'm just interested in Just interesting what anyone has to say about this. So a few of you did notice that I used this for the Bachmann. It's a Bachmann model, Bachmann hair. There we go. And what I did was, so I just used an image, but in After Effects you can make a flat image, you can turn it into a 3D image, and you can just sort of make it, you can turn it a little bit so it moves slightly in 3D. You might not think it's 3D, but you're watching in theory, in your subconscious, you know it's one. You know it's moving in 3D. Anyway, that's the ground used for it, and well, don't take a genius to see and to see that. I'm sorry for making a lot of mess earlier. Apology accepted, Paul. Yes, don't worry about it. But yeah, the wheels don't match the rails in the burning scene. Oh, then that was cut out and then put just off scene there, just in case. I thought maybe a few people might notice the fire engine whose name I can't remember. But I just thought it'd be amusing to have that just sort of on the side there. And that's Keith with a moustache. That was Keith when he was an experimental gay in the 80s. He was into Queen, and he was enjoying himself there. Hello, Ginger Ninja Lewis. Stop saying Helly Paul. Now Bryce would render these. Flynn, thank you, Flynn the fire engine. Bryce would render these bitmap images, sort of like preview images, but they were always sort of, they either wouldn't finish rendering or something, so they come out blocky like that. But that's what the actual thing looked like, and it was quite easy to add your own sort of mist and stuff. But if that was higher res, you'd see that the grass just didn't look right at all. The image was just huge, and it was didn't work. Oh, that's the tanks. That's just a photo I found of the fuel tank they were putting into thing. Christ, get on with it, Paul. Oh, no, you see here, I would spray paint on in Photoshop the hair on the back of the heads because the face texture would sometimes appear on the back as well. It kind of wrapped around. It doesn't do it as much now, but it did then. So, oh, here we go. So this was a breakdown I made earlier for the nameboard sequence, and it's quite slow. So it's kind of all the bits put together. I forgot I added all this steam. So that's just a photoshopped image of Percy from the nameboard sequence, and then you add your own pupils because they're going to move. But it doesn't look right, does it? The pupils, I can never get them quite right. It's weird. And then we add the smokes. This is stock smoke, and you would frame blend this so it matches the frame rate you're going to use. And we'll just skip forward a bit here. This isn't widescreen because the original isn't widescreen, obviously. So there's that. The overlay of the smoke on the face doesn't work there. And then we do this. Hey! So you can see where there's stock blood, and you can see where there's an image of blood splatting just appearing in a square over the sign, and then the people are added on the sides, and they're just basically. I think the people on the right are the people originally from the left, and the people on the left are originally the people that were on the right, and they're just turning. They don't match at all. If you looked at it, they don't match. They're not the same people who are running away. But you kind of have to say, well, where do you, how far do you go with something like this? But you see how it is, and then you just add the original background. Pretty straightforward. Oh, that's what I was using before. Oh, that's what I tweeted before. Because it suddenly made me think. Remember that Simpsons where Bart buys a animation cell and all he gets is like one arm? It's like, this is shit. That's what I was thinking when I was finding all this stuff. Now, this is from the suicide scene. Now, if you look at these, this was all in Bryce, and Bryce takes ages to render. It's a fucking nightmare. So what I had to do to speed it up was to render the scene, and then render it again with no textures, just shadows. That actually, it was quicker to do it that way, you know. So here we go. Oh, this is playing back really bad, because this is playing back on my computer bad, not on YouTube, because these are really high bitrate videos. I must delete them after this, because this just takes up too much. This is like a gigabyte just for this. Isn't it fucking terrible, The windows look like stock things. Yeah, the pictures of windows. I won't do that now. I'll do proper windows now. And then, spoiling it. And then you do the shadows after. So you'd overlay this and just add a sort of a darkened overlay, just to add shadows. Anything to give it a bit more realism. I don't know why certain bits are colour, but I didn't keep them colour. And then same with this. I can't remember why I added. Maybe I ballsed up and I had to add Thomas's face separate, I don't know, but this is the station scene. Oh, I know why, because the smoke had to come from behind Thomas's funnel. That was it. And that's it, and then the smoke had to come from behind James's train. That is, yeah, it is James, yeah. So that's why them two are rendered separate. I remember now. Didn't bother. This is probably this would have been the first animation I did with any engine. The wheels aren't moving. Very, very straightforward. I wasn't doing anything with moving eyes or anything like this. And I think Thomas the Tank Moosh was a bit annoyed I was using a CGI face. I think this is a CGI face, not one of the model faces. I think this is probably when I got sent a proper collection of faces, which I got from him, thanks to him. Oh, and there it is with shadows. Oh, right. So that's the image. That's the original. So again, this is right, the background is a flat model. It's just a flat plane, and all it is, there's a picture of mountains put on it, and it's right in the back. Oh, it's a model from season 8 to 11, not CGI. Right, I see. But obviously he didn't like that face. Probably you guys don't either. He's not at a station. This is how bad I was. I couldn't even do. I wasn't even confident enough to try and make a real station. This is how bad it was, you know. So he goes in here. So these are all real models, and this slowed down the program. This slowed down the computer a hell of a lot. Halfway through making Shed 17, I invested in a new PC. Well, I built a new PC. I just had to, you know. It was like, there's no way I can go on like this. I said to our brother, the rendering is going to take forever. And he said, for fuck's sake, why are you using Bryce? Learn something else. So I had to force myself. That's it with shadows. Again, it's just easier to render both separate and then add them together later. It's weird, I know. And then there's the green thing, and then there's the... Hang on, what am I showing? What am I doing here? Oh, shadows. Shadows? I'm going to assume that's the same thing. I'm just putting it twice. This was from the Thomas reveal. So this was like lots of still images. But as the camera moves around, you change them. You don't see them move. You don't see them move on... Why are you using American trucks? Because that's what I had models of. I'm making them now. Okay, there it is. So as the camera moves around, you're making certain figures disappear and putting other figures in, and then the camera comes back, and then you see that this person's moved. There's Keith throwing up, and you see the bad spray painting on the back of his head. You alright, Keith? That's my generic commuter. And then that's a generic woman. Oh, yeah, the generic commuters had moustaches every now and then, and sometimes glasses. That's her after she's passed out. So the camera goes off, back to Thomas, then you hear a scream, then it comes back, and now she's on the floor, but you don't see her move. There's the wrecked seaside spot, so that's an image I found to represent Cockleshell Bay. And that was a very early promotional shot that I never used for anything, and that was just to try and look cool. Well, it's not cool, is it, obviously, but just sort of trendy kind, just to get people interested. It's about people. Now, this photo, I'm not sure I used this in the original. I'll probably see it later on, and I'll go, oh yeah, I did use it. But I'm not sure I used that in the original. More family. That's it. Yeah, so anyway, I've been yapping for 42 minutes, so let's watch Shed 17. Is everyone okay? Is everyone enjoying themselves? I'm just going to have a quick drink. Excuse me. And yeah, so don't worry, Shed 17 is shorter than Project G1, so we should get through it pretty quick. So here we go. Oh, I forgot to go through the After Effects scenes, but we'll do that after because we could be going through that for a long time. So this was meant to look like YouTube buffering. This is what YouTube buffering looked like at the time. This was really weird because this was the first. Shed 17 was the first full HD video I ever made. So the two before it, Bertha and Dan Duke, were standard def, but I uploaded them at 720p because if you upload PAL standard def, which is the British format, they come up. YouTube converts it to American standard def, which is 480p, and is about 100 lines of resolution less. So it was like you lose quality, so you make sure you render and you upload 720p. Anyone who's ever uploaded a video to YouTube will know that when you see it on YouTube, it's like, that isn't the video I uploaded. That's not as good as the quality I originally created. And this was the only. I kind of take pride in making sure that my video is the best possible quality I could upload. It all depends. It's kind of like a compromise. Quality against how long you want to wait for that to upload to YouTube. So this took about a day, and this was on my shitty old broadband. Took about a day to upload to YouTube. And this, for some reason, this Venetian blind effect, these stripes, these lines that are going across the screen, which probably look really weird in 720p on this stream, they messed it up, and they made the steam. It's like stock steam. They made that look really blocky and weird. And it's only spot where it really looked weird on YouTube and the video I uploaded. This, by the way, is a new video I've rendered with a new piece of music in the suicide scene. I can't remember if there's anything else I've changed, but hopefully I'll notice as I go along. The Blogspot logo, which you can barely see in the bottom corner there. If I ever upload a new one, I'll get rid of that because the blog doesn't exist anymore. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything. Wow, I'm really glad I fucking listened to you for 10 minutes talking about picture resolution, Paul. Oh, Saturday night I could have been out partying. Oh, here we go. So, as you know, Thomas doesn't take this long to appear in shot. And what I did, I looped this video, and you can see where it's looped. You can see in the as the windmill is turning. You can see. Hang on. Here we go. Watch. There. there. I'm stupid. What I could have done is just loop the left-hand side, so Thomas doesn't come in. And then I wouldn't have had to loop. I'd probably have to loop the windmill maybe once. You know, would have been alright. This bit of music is what we call the Thomas Downer mix. So basically Sorry, I'm just looking at comments. Paul, mate, getting on this piss ain't nothing when the stream exists. What would you rather do? Go out partying or watch me waffling about Shed 17? So I watched someone on YouTube playing the original Thomas theme. I didn't try and do the accompaniment or anything. And it's just a piano VST instrument being played slowly with massive heavy echo effects put over it, and we call it the Downer mix. And then we change this image. Now that is either a picture of a model of a windmill or it's a real windmill. I can't remember. I just googled it and I thought that's perfect. It looks just like the original, doesn't it? Oh, I think it does. Or maybe it doesn't. Oh yeah, it does a bit. And then the grass is changed to this swamp looking thing. There's some ripply water effects. There's quite a poor reflection. The ripply water isn't very good. It's kind of doesn't look that good. The sky obviously is different. That's moving. The clouds are slightly moving, and that is a 3D layer. So the top of the clouds are moving slightly faster than the ones at the bottom there. I don't know if you notice or not. My theory is that it's a subliminal thing. You just know. So what inspired the names, voices and personalities for the human characters? Keith. So I worked with someone called... I was trying to find a really boring northern name. So I know someone called Keith and I know someone called Hartley. I thought that's perfect. Owen, I'll tell you about Owen, Ruth, later on because there's a bit of a story to it. A really boring story that'll make you all switch off. So this, I thought it would be nice if the bridge was turned into one of them sort of commuter bridges. You see how it goes a bit weird then? It's because I'm using frame blending. So it matches the frame rate of my video and it doesn't look right. I should have tried to compromise there. This originally had more graffiti on it. There was some stuff that was a bit more in-jokes about people me and my friends knew, and I kind of blocked them out. But you can see it on the right hand side there's a bad Photoshop where I've tried to erase it and I've done a bad job. So the idea is the roof's caved in on the signal box and it's kind of overgrown, so there's a bit of grass in there. You know when you use that sticking plaster tool in Photoshop that's meant to make stuff disappear? I was trying to make the rails disappear, but sometimes it gets it wrong, doesn't it? And I got that sort of smashed up rails effect, and I thought, oh, that looks okay. That looks alright. And obviously we're switching from the 4:3 square image to widescreen, so you had a bit more on the sides. But I thought the new bridge was quite nice. It's kind of thing that maybe would happen. Hold on, if there's no humans on the island, how do graffiti get on the bridge? People like to sneak in and paint CND logos on there. You know, because Sodo had a massive nuclear military base on there. And then this is the worst one. This is the one that really come out bad. Christ, this takes a while. Oh, there we go. So I just thought this would be nice if the lamp, the light in the foreground was turned into a crappy modern one. But it's terrible, that black horizon on the right hand side, that's awful. The weird shadow going on there. This is just terrible. And of course got loads of stick about this train. It was just a train that was in the book. I didn't think it was an American one. I didn't think this was a special railway line where there wouldn't be that kind of train. I just thought it's a decrepit island where joke, your videos are great, but some are still better than Newcastle. Well, the leagues say different. Yeah, I know it's not a UK engine. I'm just talking about that. Sorry. But yeah, this came out bad. And I just made it look rusty. I just added a rusty texture to it. Like I say, it's just a model from a book. But yeah, that was the poorest effect. Not proud of that. If I'd known a lot of people watching this, I'd be like, I would definitely not have done this. You know, it's the same with the 3D celebrities that appear later on. In Project G1, I made them for real. I didn't just do rubbishy photoshops. But anyway, so the sort of prologue bit here now with the voiceover. This was a thing, right? Because I was thinking, now, do I get away without a narrator like Bertha did? Bertha was like, it was supposed to be like District 9, that kind of thing, and it wasn't going to have a narrator. It was just going to have talking heads talking about it. And I was thinking, can I get away with it on this? You know, can I get away with just talking heads? And I was thinking, no, I don't think I can. I think I have to have a narrator telling the story as well. So this was difficult. Do I just talk about the series, or do I try and make it all modern day and talk about how there's books and everything? So the idea is that this is all happening in real life, you know, these engines and stuff, and the books and the series is being made while the engines are active, and the books come out later. The books are created by the Fat Controller to try and make him look like a nice guy and make the engine stories happy, when in fact it's really miserable and horrible. From the books to the television series, people around the world have grown up with the railway stories, and all their cheerful characters. Oh, there's a line I say now. It was no children's fantasy. It was no children's fantasy. The truth would be horrible. And that's nicked from a film. And it was ages later I thought, hang on a minute, what film's that from? I got it in my head, it was The Fly, the 80s, The Fly. But it wasn't that. That was Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. And for years I was thinking, where the hell did I get this line from? The truth wouldn't be a fairy story, the truth would be terrifying. And it's from Die Hard 2. The reporter's on the plane and he goes, but the truth is terrifying. And that's where I got it from. Like, what the fuck? I thought I got it from a horror film or something. I thought it was being really clever. No, it's a line from Die Hard 2. Oh, Paul, you knobhead. So you see here, it's quite hard to find nice high-res images from books, so the upscaling of these looks blocky and horrible. And this is Bryce, so this is the model that I got from a book. So's the big building in the background, and I just added a Shed 17 sign to it. So what you do is you render it once with in the dark, and then you add lots of lights, so lights inside, lights, and then you render it again, and then you just jump between the two, either at random, or in this case probably you do it so it matches the thunder sound effects. But really, you know, sort of really basic, really straightforward. I think the light's there all the time. Then you add a light zoom effect, which gives it this sort of misty effect, so it looks like the light's coming at you. If things like this probably have genuine names, and I just can't think what they are. Light rays. The remote island of Sodor, off the northwest coast of England. So that's a photo I've just found. From the World War II, relatively unscathed and untouched. So, why World War II? Why Nazis? Because, for some reason, if you add Nazis to a story, it gives it this air of realism. It's like God rays, there you go, thank you. It gives it this air of realism. It's like if you want a powerful bad guy with lots of resources and, you know, an interest in the paranormal and things like that. So for Indiana Jones, you use Nazis. There you go, Ryan Sock, Nazis, fucking badass. But there's lots of rumours about Nazis, isn't there? That UFOs were Nazi experiments and things like this. I didn't use I don't think I said Nazi in this, or Holocaust. because they're not very funny in what's supposed to be a comedy film. I know a hint at it, but it was kind of like shouldn't really. So this is where you just want to fill it in. You just want to add images just so that it doesn't get boring. You don't want to stay. I mean, how many videos do you watch where the camera will stay on an image for a few minutes and you're just like, God, this is boring. You've got to keep showing different things to keep the viewer interested. This is obviously very interesting. It's very obvious how I've done this. So it's an image in the background, and then these are just copied and pasted Nazis, obviously. I made the effort of doing these in colour. Why did I do that? Because I'm stupid. This Hitler's doing a speech. I don't know what he's saying, but I made sure there was no Holocaust references in it. Again, because it's not funny. And then I think using the same speech on video, I got his mannerisms. I don't mean in real life. I mean making this model do mannerisms and stuff. So there's a lot of this going on. He probably talks for too long, but I guess I wanted to put in as many of the mannerisms bit. Are you going to do a face reveal on YouTube at some point? I'm on YouTube. You can see me. I did that silly bang joke and stuff like that.
His wife Olga and 4-year-old son Hans fled the country.
Hey, so this is World at War. World at War, for those who don't know, was a series in the 70s. It was a big, long documentary series, about 20 episodes. And it told you all about World War II. And it's still the best. If you ever want to learn about World War II, it's still the best source. If you can find it, go and find it. And I made a dig here about the Blu-ray version where they obviously restored it in HD, but they cropped it, which is really annoying. Because, why? Footage of World War II was naturally 4:3 was naturally a square image. Why the hell would you crop the top and bottom off every bit of footage? World at War is a masterpiece. Yes, it is. Seriously, if you want to learn, if you're at school or something and you learn about World War II, watch World at War. The interesting thing is it had people in it who actually were either in the government or served in the war at the time. Just gonna have another drink. What we said. It's just Coke. So yeah, I'm going to dig here because I'm a stupid old man. This guy he's obviously not saying those things, but I don't even think this dialogue is from World at War. So this is Keith, and so obviously we're going to have, because this seemed like one of the biggest human characters in the biggest human character in the series. So I wanted to have a wooden train driver and call him Keith. And I thought this is kind of nice. This is the sort of place you would set it up for a documentary.
The fact is, his experiments were hard to stomach even for his own people.
When I did his voice, so I'm doing his voice and I'm doing Owen Ruth's voice. To make him sound different, the Keith voice is pitched down a little bit, just a couple of notches in Premiere. So I'm a bit lower when I'm talking. And then the higher voice, it's just turned up a little bit, pitched up slightly more, just to make them both sound a bit different.
In truth, he had become a prominent figure in the...
Here's that photo that we used for promotion. As you can see, Hitler's got ears. Quickly scrap the idea of ears. Thanks for ruining my childhood. I didn't ruin your childhood, it was fine. But it's over. Here he is, Owen Ruth. So, I have a friend called Owen. And years ago, we did a spoof of Superman. And we did the trial scene, like the General Zod trial scene at the start. and he was General Zod. And just so it got seen, I posted it, I think on Vimeo. And then I joined a Superman Cinema forum, like fan forum, and I just posted, anyone want to see my spoof of the trial scene? And most of the comments were, holy crap, that guy Owen looks a hell of a lot like Brandon Routh, who was Superman in Superman Returns, a film that you kind of love or hate. And yeah, so I've been winding him up forever, you know. Every time something happens with, every time something happens to Brandon Routh, or Brandon Routh's been on a film, or so, it's like, oh, I saw you in a film, Owen, yeah. So that's where that comes from. It's not a dig, it's not taking the piss, it's just amusing, you know. Again, you see, these are probably one of the last things I did, these photos. It's just to keep it going, to stop, so it doesn't get boring, so it's not just talking heads, and it's not just the same image shown all the time. This is the reference to the Holocaust. Sajmal Nacht is who voiced Owen? I did. So at the start of the Holocaust, there was a thing called the Crystal Night, Kristallnacht, and it's called that because they smashed up Jewish businesses and synagogues and stuff, and there was lots of glass everywhere, and they call it the Night of Crystal because it looked like crystals everywhere. So I had this idea, we'll call it the Night of Sawdust, which if you try and do Sawdust Night you try and translate that into German in Google, it calls it Sajmalnacht. So I don't know if it translates exactly like that, but there you go. So it is that's the only reference to the Holocaust, and it's probably still in bad taste.
Soon feared for his and his family's lives.
So obviously, the idea here is that Goetze fled Germany, with the excuse that he disapproved of what they were doing, but in fact they were horrified by what he was doing. It was what he was doing. So he was doing lots of horrible experiments and stuff, which they did, and there was a night of blood in which the SA got rounded up and executed. Was that the old SS when a lot of the leaders were shot? Sorry, I'm just asking Ryan Sock something. There was a night of blood. Sorry, I'm reading comments. I know I shouldn't be doing this. This is dead air. Leaders got shot that were the night of the long knives. Oh well. This kind of happened. I think this happened on the Isle of Man. They sort of cordoned off whole areas and let Germans living in Britain. They put them all in there. I think eventually, a lot of them were released after a while. It's the same thing happened in the US after Pearl Harbor. The Americans put Japanese Americans in these camps for a long time, but they were gradually let out, you know. But that was my idea. That was one of the last things I did. This image here, just so I had something to show, just so it was, you know. And these things, you know, just keep it interesting, keep it going, keep it interesting. Here he is growing up, so it's meant to look like different types of camera film. Photos being taken with different, you know, with different cameras. Right, here's a plot hole. Those are humans in the paintings on the walls, but he's a wooden person. Someone had a dig about this because why is he the only one there? Well, he's just got his diploma, and maybe he's just gone back in the hall and his parents took his photo. What's wrong with that?
Writing several pioneering papers about genetics.
So the idea here is he's interested in the same thing. So that's like a stock photo, an image I found on Google. of DNA, like a drawing, and then you've got a skeleton, I think, on one of these papers. Oh, yeah, and I found all this text about DNA, what it is, so I just plonked that on this letter. I'm not going to type all that, I'm not going to make up all that shit.
The technique of manipulating
And then there's another one where there's a sort of a pencil drawing of an engine.
However,
Here we are, so there's a heart and then there's an engine on the bottom
British
here.
government became more and more concerned with Hans.
Anything to keep it entertaining, keep it going. Keep. Oh, Goetze, the name Goetze is from a German footballer. He was a player I used to always sign when I was playing my FIFA career. I had to find a German name. Oh, what do I like? Oh, Goetze. Oh yeah, soon every nutcase was coming over here. Can't remember if it might have been Joseph Marshall or Sam the Angel Fox who liked Charlie Chalk. Or maybe I just, thought I've got to put some other nutcase in there from the 80s. And Paul, do you have any plans for a threequel? No! Sorry. We'll put Charlie Chalk in there. I can't remember. It might have been Joseph Marshall. That's obviously a foreign town or village, but I was running out of photos and then medical equipment and stuff. This is it. This was in Bryce, so you can see how there's rails with no real sort of corners, no real bends in them, and the same model going again and again and again, and then in the background you've got that same diesel thing, but actually I think it's two of them next to each other. Anything, just like, look, that's terrible, isn't it? Look at the grass in the top left. It just looks like it's a massive texture that just looks like close-up grass from there. It just doesn't look right, does it?
Young Abby Collins from the town was working there when Professor
Abby Collins, that name. So Abby did a voice in this. She played young Thomas and his fat friend, and then when she came here to record it, and her surname was Collins, so that's why Abby Collins.
Soon they were married, and not long after, the town was buzzing with news of her pregnancy.
Then we have Thomas, and this is him with his proper eyes, not that weird fucking thing that was on before. Actually, were his eyes bigger before? Hang on a minute, I've got to look at this. Just 2 secs. Where's them photos? Oh, here we go. It's weird, isn't it? Hold on.
Rail system.
I'm just gonna find that bit again.
When Professor Hans took a liking to her. Soon they were married, and not long
Here we go. Isn't that? It's weird, isn't it? It's like, oh, he's got a pointy nose. Isn't that weird? Something odd about that. Apart from the obvious. Where's that other one of Thomas? There he is.
68.
That's even freaking me out, that photo. Again, this is a sort of blurry photo. It's meant to look like a different type of lens or something. It's weird, isn't it? I'm not even sure that's the same image, like reversed. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, the pocket's on the other side. Oh, maybe I put them faces on over it in Photoshop. Maybe it's not part of the model. That's the model, but maybe I added Thomas's face later. I bet it's that. Someone must have commented.
One of the first video cameras, and it'd be on the platforms every day. You can see me in some of those.
Oh, we're on. It says we've got poor playback now. Is anyone getting? Is it playing back bad? Ah. Is it having trouble with it? It says we've got poor playback now. Is anyone? No, it's fine for me. Just the YouTube thing just popped up saying that there's not enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Not currently received. Maybe my broadband's down. Okay, I'll just keep going. Right, that's a wraparound photo of some reason Keith lost his nose.
It was very traumatic for me in the 70s. My fucking nose fell off.
That's a wraparound photo. I didn't take that. And I think the engine is a real engine, but it was added to the photo later.
But he was friends with everyone.
This was our brother's joke.
Who could only say where he lived.
So that's obviously that bloke saying Hodor in Game of Thrones, and I just added an S to it. He's going, S. And that's a wraparound image that my brother took. He took loads of photos of stations and stuff for us, so he got a lot of the he got credited for all the original photos.
Trains were the old steam engines.
Steam engines were a dying art on the British mainland.
So Thomas likes steam engines. Yeah, that's a model. That I don't know if it was one of mine. One that I got out of a book. Oh, and here we needed shots from the series that didn't have engines with faces in. Oh, right, this is like an image of. So there's different photos of real railway lines, and just superimpose over the map.
And appointed a new controller.
So I think I tried doing a model at first of the Fat Controller, and I had to use. I used a photo in the end. I'm sure you all recognise this photo, and then give him a grumpy face and give him an open mouth.
A Topham hat. Born into money, he took his ridiculous name to heart and started wearing a top hat all the time. Of course, the islanders.
Oh, and that's the actual Fat Controller theme, but I slowed it down. It sounds quite good though, doesn't it? This is just for padding, just so there's something to be seen. I had this idea: what if the Fat Controller's office was preserved? You know, it had been kept there. I think I used the same image there for in Project G1. Newspaper footage again. That's something you'd see in a documentary, you know. So these are photos our brother took at a railway junction somewhere, and when the camera turns, that's when you cut to another photo. But again, he did stitch photos together to make them wraparound images. And there's some 3D going on as well, so you've got the sign there, you've got this foreground fence, and you're gonna move it around in 3D, so it goes over the so the camera can go over it and the background's still there, you know what I mean? And that's Abby. When she was doing Thomas' voice, it was just her talking, hello, I'm talking quite happily. And then when it was the fat friend, she sort of put fists on the side of her face and pushed her cheeks in and went, oh, I'm a fat bloke now. That's what I'm doing now, by the way. Oh, a bit fat now. I hunted for ages for this sound effect. When a fast engine's approaching, you can hear it hissing on the. Well, sometimes you hear it hissing on the rails. I think it's something to do with the train turning. It's kind of grazing the rails, and you have that hissing sound. And I was trying to get it. I went to stations trying to record it, and I couldn't get it. There was a film, I was watching a film one night. Well, I wasn't watching it, I just put it on, and a train was going past, and there was this sort of noise. Like I was like, oh, that's it. I was trying to record it, you know. In the end, I found that there's apparently a trend for putting your GoPro cameras on the railway lines, like between the rails, so it didn't get crushed. And then when these American high-speed trains went over, and I got the sound from them.
Oh, that's really interesting, Paul. Thanks for fucking telling me that.
Held up.
And it was hiss, 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 hiss. That was quite difficult because you have to. The train has to stick to the rails, but at the same time you want it to move in 3D. If you just scale it up, it'll slow down as it gets to you. I mean, the hiss gives it away that there's a train coming. I shouldn't have done it, but I wanted that. It felt like something, you know, give it a bit more realism. And then you get an arm bouncing, and there's a bit of a 3D effect there. The image, the photo is turned in. It's like rotated in 3D. So when it moves, it moves in 3D. So the foreground is moving faster than the background.
Hans was mortified. He disappeared from.
Here's a bit of a trend with the newspapers. So obviously I'm not going to fill it with actual. That's one tough camera. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, his camera will break. I know, but it's artistic license. Obviously, I'm not going to fill the newspaper with text. I mean, if I was a fucking Hollywood film or something, you'd probably have someone there just typing in the text on the newspaper for days. But I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, the living daylights. I don't know why I think that's funny, but it is. Put aha lyrics in the paper. It's fine in standard def because you probably can't read it, but in this it's kind of like, oh.
Won't allow anyone in there. Eventually his father will help.
So again, this is a lot of talk before we get going, you know. That Sodor Research Building is stock as well. I just put a sign on it.
Production was shut down.
I could almost skip some of this.
But the two Professor Goetzes didn't care.
There's the photos we were looking at before.
Was being delivered daily, but no one was allowed in.
Living's in the way we die.
On Sodor. Where were
Got my hopes up way too high. It's vibrations in the rails from rumbling wheels. The curve thing is something else. Ah, I see. There you go.
To the complex, but was never moved by rail. We all assume the obvious.
So the idea is there is some operation going on, but you never get to see it. And years later, I realised one of the inspirations was Akira. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a cartoon, a manga cartoon from like the 80s, Japanese thing. And you don't really see the horrible experiment done on this lad's brain. You just see him before and after. And it's like, it's creepy because you're not quite sure what happened. Yeah, Akira. And you don't really know what happened. And that's kind of what's going on here. There's more of it in Project G1. You see a bit more from Keith's point of view. But, yeah, it happens to Tetsuo. And, but it's better to be vague than trying to. It's called anime, Paul. Did I not say anime? I said manga, didn't I? Called anime, cheeky prick. For the accident. And it's better to not see it, you know, because there's no way I could try and do something that creepy. It's better to imagine it in your head. Whatever you're thinking in your head is better than anything I could create. You know what I mean? So here we are. So this is all 2D shots. There's no 3D animation going on here. They're just stills. We don't have to see the wheels moving. We just see. We have the faces, the pupils and everything. At this point I was still using, the faces were just flat. There was no, you know, I didn't try to morph them so there was the nose or anything. So they were just flat images. So if this was 3D and the camera's moving around, you go, oh my god, that's just a flat image.
It dawned on me what Hans Goetz and his dad had done.
So we see we're cutting, you see. Oh, that's how we're doing it. We're cutting. We're not camera moving off. So you see the grass in the background. It looks terrible, doesn't it?
Are you alright, Keith?
Hey, that's me. Hey, you alright, Keith?
Spread across the country, the world's media rushed to Sodor Island.
This is probably what kills the film. So I just thought it'd be amusing to have, TV footage from the time. This is what I like. This is like the Dan Duke thing. I like sort of nods to old classic telly and things like that. So this is ITN News, which was on. This is on ITN News at 10, which was on at 10 p.m. every night, and had Big Ben on it.
I became a bit of a celebrity.
Controversy.
And that's meant to be.
Questions asked about.
Oh, what's the name of the newsreader?
To say I was pretty nervous at times.
Joined now by Keith Hadley.
It's not Sandy Gall, it's someone else. Can't remember now. But here's a plot hole for you. How is he being interviewed live at 10 p.m. and it's daylight?
What did you think when you first came to meet Thomas the Tank Engine?
Now, also, he's meant to be throwing up at the prospect of Thomas, what's happened, but I kind of, because I'm filling it in with, because I want all this footage from TV programs and stuff, I'm filling it in with more dialogue that isn't necessary, and I'm talking about how he's presents himself well and he's not nervous or anything like that. So I'm making it seem he's throwing up because of nerves rather than throwing up about Thomas. So I've kind of ballsed up the storyline there. The throw up is same as the blood, pixels. So you can have pixels. You say, here's the target, here's where the pixels come from, and here's where they're going to go, and you can set sort of the direction they go, and you can randomize the direction so it kind of spreads out as it comes out. Then you want to make it a bit more blurry, give it a nice colour, maybe a mixture of colours. So it's a mixture of browns. The idea is that the vomit is wet sawdust or wet flakes of wood coming out. It's very important in every film that you study the texture of vomit. London Weekend Television, this was big in the 80s, well, before the 80s as well. This is what you'd have on at the weekend, obviously, and they'd do like fucking they'd do like the comedy entertainment shows and quizzes and all this kind of rubbish. I don't know what this is. Did they make Weekend World? Can't remember now. Weekend World was a very boring program. It was on a Sunday. It was like midday Sunday, and you go, fucking hell, why is this? It's a weekend, I'm off school, why the hell's this shite on? Remember, there was only like 3 channels, so you didn't have much choice what was on. And again, I wanted to have this title on this music. This is Brian Walden who presented this, and he was like a tough interviewer. And I'm trying to do an impression of him. That's terrible, wasn't it? That didn't sound anything like him. Good evening. He would, pronounce R's as W's and things. Good evening. Wait, it's not good evening actually, is it? It's just anyway. And rather than try and do a model, which I would have done now, crime against humanity. There you go. Rather than try and do a model like I would now, I take an image or a still from a clip from YouTube or whatever, and then kind of paint over it in Photoshop. Doesn't really work. It looks a bit weird. He's died since Shed 17, and so's Terry Wogan. So I never told you about my gift of death, have I? I can look people up and find that they've died that day, or I'll look up an actor to see if they're still going, and then they die. They die like 2 days later or something. It's weird. I can't do it at will, by the way. People have asked me, can you kill a certain person for me? And I can't do it at will. If I could, James Corden would be fucked. Now, this is difficult because those are real people, and there's a lot of real stuff. Obviously, there's people parachuting and stuff in these titles, so you have to be careful what you show. But the reason I did this, that's Richard Keys. Now, he used to present TVAM, which was on in the early 80s, and he went on to present the football on Sky Sports for years. And then he got fired because he was being sexist. And he ended up on the radio. And the dialogue is from him, Dark Forces at Work. That's it, Steam King. I was trying to get some kind of dialogue like that. Sorry, Paul, I need to leave. Okay, sorry, Toby the Tram Engine. I hope you'll be able to watch this later. Say Pat Robertson. Pat Robertson. God, this is easy. And yeah, so I wanted him to say something like that, something that sounded like it's related to something that sounded like, you know, something related to what's happened to Thomas, something horrible, you know. And then Terry Wogan. Now, Terry Wogan, he had a successful chat show in the 80s. And there was an episode where he interviewed a sports presenter whose name escapes me. And if any of you can remember the name, you'll win the title. You'd win the title TV King of all time, right? If you can come up with this. He interviewed this sports presenter who thought he was Jesus. He thought he was the second coming. And he kind of mocked him on this. He was saying like they're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you, and all this. And he was called, and he still does it. There's massive long videos of him talking about. I think there's massive long videos on Amazon Prime. It's part of their shite that they plonk on their servers and say, look, watch this. He's called. Oh, damn! What's he called? Come on, lads! What's he called? I don't want to look it up because that's cheating. It'll come to me later. Anyway, Terry Wogan. And again, that's a still that I've just painted over. And it doesn't look very good. But this is the reason for this, because I found that dialogue. David Icke, well done. That took a while. I bet you looked it up, didn't you? Moses the Black. That's okay. You're still king of TV. Did you look it up? You can admit it.
The only question they
Sportsy McJesus. Well done. That's actually the name he goes by now. David Icke. What a nutcase. He was like, you know, actually presenting TV at the time, and he just like suddenly discovered he was Jesus.
Had been asked repeatedly.
Again, this is filler. You know,
The response was an emphatic no.
this is just filler, just to whoops, with the newspaper and stuff. It's all stuff he did right at the end, just to kind of fill it all in.
To maintain his organic functions. What no one could be sure of.
Now, there's an image
was mechanical.
which I think, can't remember if it was an image with this. It was an image of Thomas with this inside bit. I can't remember if no, I think I must have added it later. It was like a cross section of a real engine cut in half.
Which was organic material.
Well, not a cross section of a
Coaches, but to work on the
blueprint of an engine. Moses the Black. You did look it up. Anyway, well done. That's going to annoy me. And then again, you just sort of outline Thomas and then add these pictures of guts. You just Google these, and then you add bulge effects in After Effects and just make certain bits bulge out. Same thing with the truck with guts in Project G1. The background is just a picture of blueprint paper. You just Google stuff like that, you find it. Same with that background there. That is a stock icon at the top there, letterhead. So the idea is people involved in trains were interested in becoming engines. So this is see you later, Smiley Face Studios. So the idea is they want to become engines, and Like I say, I would have done real models now. That's supposed to be Richard Branson. He runs Virgin Trains. Well, not for much longer. And then this is Michael Portillo, who does a programme on TV now where he goes on train journeys. Mr. Starr, that's obviously Ringo Starr. Walden, that's supposed to be Brian Walden. Mr. Hughes, I don't know, I think that's just a random name. Mr. Ball. I don't know if maybe I was trying to think of kids' TV stars from the 80s, so that's probably Johnny Ball, who's now a climate change denier, so he's a twat. Mr. T, 80s people again.
Parties eager to seize on the biofusion gold mine. The independently wealthy
I must have found a really high-res image of that. A really impressively upscaled image of that fat controller there, because I wouldn't normally have zoomed in that much on just a DVD still.
Immediately, the policy of the company changed, and so did the ethics.
Someone told me once that the original series was shot on film, and that it was kind of like Star Trek Next Generation. It was... How many idiots still give you death threats over this? I don't really read the comments, to be honest. Not a lot anymore. I know I should. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, they shot it on film, and then it's transferred to video, and then edited on video. So, in theory, this film is still there somewhere, and they could do nice restored Blu-rays of this, couldn't they? Knowing British restoration, though, they'd crop it so you'd lose the top and bottom of the screen. They did that with Thunderbirds. Apparently now you can get a Japanese Blu-ray where it's not cropped. I kind of like Thunderbirds, but it was always a bit slow. Like this stream. See the grass? Horrible. It's weird what annoys you, but the grass is terrible on that. On the logistics, not hit logistics, the Sodor research thing. This is quite hard, making the rails go off into the dark. That didn't really work properly.
The first one we fired up was James.
They fired up James, and again, so this is just footage from... Look at James's weird whistle. It kind of goes off in a funny direction. I'm not sure I did that to my model of James. I think my James has a proper whistle. So obviously this is just... You get stock footage of film grain and scratches. You can find stuff like that on YouTube. You've got to do frame blending so it's the same frame rate, because drop frames really annoy me. I can't watch Netflix throughout if it's on something that will drop a frame every second or something. It's the once you notice it, it's the most annoying thing in the world.
It was horrible watching these engines work on the railways some days.
And then you make it jittery and jumpy like that. You do that in After Effects. There's a wiggler effect, and if you do it, if you set it properly, you can make it nice and jerky like that.
Edward was first to have problems.
Here we go. Now we get to the fun stuff. That's a terrible model of Edward, and that's a real station. And those aren't real people, obviously. So he comes in. He's kind of sticking to the rails pretty good there. He's not bad there. Maybe he goes a bit off there. It's quite hard making him stick to the rails. The voiceover is from two different scenes, I think. I don't think he says exactly this in one scene. Can't remember exactly. Can't remember now, but I think I found it by chance, and I was like, oh, that works better, so I'll use that instead. But obviously it's Ringo voiceover.
And whistle to the kids on the platform.
Whistled Edward. Thank you very much.
I think it's Henry who says peep peep thank you very much, and I think I used a shot of a bit of recording of him saying whistled Edward. So the blood is, like I say, it's just pixels, red pixels flying off, and then you blur it, make it a bit blotchy, you mess with the contrast and stuff, make it a bit more blocky. This is stock blood in the background there, like sort of spraying, and then there's a bit there that's meant to be stuck on the camera lens. And then the blood on the faces, that's the image that we saw before. Actually, you can see the blood on the faces is exactly the same. They've got the same texture on each face, so that's obviously something I didn't think of at the time, but that's overlaid on the model itself, and then you Photoshop some unhappy face on them.
Harold had an obsession with aircraft and had paid to become a helicopter.
So here's Harold. So the idea is that at first they find problems with more mechanical machinery, stuff that takes fuel, for example. You imagine fuel would burn their insides and stuff. You know, a lot of heating, a lot of nice stuff. So here's so you can see that she doesn't, as the camera moves around, the wobbly camera effect isn't very good in this either. The back of her moves as well. It doesn't quite. It looks like the back of her is massive and the foreground is okay. It doesn't quite work properly. Also, the photoshopping out, the sort of outlining her, hasn't worked properly either. I probably would have gone into more detail now. I think I added a bit of shadow at the front there, but that's all I did. And then the foreground is the face. So you cut that out and add that in separately, so you can add fire between the background and the foreground. And again, it's video, it's film effects, sorry. So you do that thing where you speed it up. You speed it up because that's the cut. That's what you sort of see. You lot are all arguing in these comments here. You effing 2-year-old. Roblox Junior, can you shut the F up? I don't see him saying anything. Do Thomas. What's that mean? Roblox. Do Thomas what? What's he saying? Okay, this doesn't make sense. If Diesel Biofusion was banned, then why was Diesel made? Because he was made at this time. This happened at the same time as this. So, you know, it's other stories that happened at the same time in Project G1. So that's been photoshopped, that face. You kind of just paint out where you want holes for eyes and holes for the mouth, and then you find stock footage of fire and stuff, so you can find like match head burnings and things like that, and just have that where the eyes should be and things. And there's Flynn on the left there. Again, it's badly sort of photoshopped in. Oh, that's it. That's the same thing as that's the same face as before. So I've just kind of done it's one of these where you're echoing part of the other face, part of the rest of the face, and put it in, or it's that sticking plaster effect. I suspect it's not the sticking plaster effect, because it wouldn't be that good if it was.
Be kept under lock and key indefinitely in an unexpected U-turn.
And again, you've got you make sure the smoke comes out above the red front. So maybe the red front is separate. On the other hand, the smoke isn't behind that pipe, that black pipe that's coming up there. So that's where I've not thought it through. I'm spotting my own mistakes here.
Harold was never told why he couldn't fly.
I don't think the CG and models mesh that well. No, they don't.
Only for a little while longer. In fact, unknown to
Oh, now this lighting effect, this was done in 3DS. You can see where I've done frame blending here. It makes a sort of a bad ripply effect. When the light starts, it does that. You can just make it out. You've got to be careful with frame blending. You can really make stuff look weird. Look, I don't even know why I did frame blending. I don't even know why I would do that unless I rendered this at lower frame rate. I didn't suddenly change the frame rate or anything. All this stuff, the desk, the lamp, that cupboard and everything are all from these books. I didn't make any of this at the railway, the rail line. And the sign on his desk.
So there'd be no legal action taken if anything went wrong.
There we go. So these are the name boxings, but I've added the video effects. This is to try and make my effect with Percy fit in with these.
already dead.
shots, but they
Have
don't,
to put a stop to
still don't quite fit properly. See, you can kind of see the face isn't quite right. There's something odd about the pupils. Maybe they're too clear or something. Now watch the people. He drops. There. The little lad in red is now... He started on the right. He's now on the left. Same with the people on the left. They're now on the right, running away. Maybe they... I don't know. Maybe now I would have added my own people and had them fall to their knees and raise their arms or something.
Thomas had worked fine.
God, there's a lot of setting up in this, isn't there?
And accidents, keeping their problems a secret.
I thought it was quite lucky that I found a lot of shots of unhappy other engines and happy Thomas. Sort of Thomas is oblivious, the other engines, or buses or whatever, are suffering. So they're real logos, obviously, and they're outsourcing to other countries. Again, this is just keep it going, keep it fast, keep it entertaining. Now, Thomas Tankmoosh, he told me about this, the two-faced engine, and I was just like, this is perfect, because this is actually from the series. I love jokes like this where it's actually from the series, and you're just taking something from it and just making it look grim. You know, you could do this with a happy cartoon, add creepy sound effects and make it look grim, you know, and change the mood altogether. That's bizarre anyway, isn't it? He's got a face coming out of his ass. Talk about talking out your ass.
Professor Handskirtser saw what this was leading.
I hate those abomination engines. Isn't it? They're horrible. What are they? They're just like connected. By the way, if anyone's a conjoined here, I'm really sorry. Oh, this is the new music.
Father, Wilhelm.
This is copyright-free music because I'm sick of the copyright violation on my Shed 17 upload for this very old German piece of music that's playing when this comes on. But we've seen this earlier on, haven't we? So we can see how the shadows don't really work on the fence because I rendered the dark areas differently. And then we're going to cut. So we cut here straight into a separate render. And we can see somewhere in here the shadows probably don't work that well. Again, this is all stock, the record player, the background, everything. I think in the trailer, the record that's in the lid there is actually the Dan Duke record from the previous. I have the old version of Shed 17 downloaded. The old version's still up there. I haven't uploaded this version. But yeah, there's a Dan Duke record in there, and I've changed that. I thought that's too weird. Also, the arm of the record player isn't on the record. But there you go. And there's a photo of... That's where you... Well, actually I used the photo twice, didn't I? See, look, the window is just a picture of a window with the image, you know, just an image on it, obviously. This is all stuff from these books. That's a Luger. All from the books. This is one of the only places where you see the characters moving. Originally, the talking heads would move in shot as we were talking, but I cut that out. Quite hard to make the music build up to this. In the trailer, it's the Thomas theme, and you mess with it. Oh, look, if you look on the right, oh, you won't be able to see it. It's cropped. Hang on. There. See on the right? That's the Dan Duke record from the previous video. Got rid of it. I didn't like it being in the video, so I got rid of it. Sorry, I've got to crop it like this. It's just so we've got everything without any video player or anything going on. And then, kaboom! So what we're doing here is we've re-rendered stills of this room, but we've changed the textures, all the textures to sawdust, and occasionally it doesn't work properly. Sometimes the sawdust texture looks big on certain models, sometimes it's stretched like the side of that record player there. So you've got to tweak and mess with it, and then you're going to do different sort of transitions in After Effects to make it look blotchy. So typically you'd use images for this. You'd say, you'd create sort of black and white images that would different shades of blotch. if that's a word, and it would you know, sort of appear at different times, and that's stock footage, the sort of wafting smoke and everything. Just checking anyone's still watching. Hello, lads. That's a match head burning. That's probably on YouTube, I'm not sure. You have to kind of remove the actual match head, because I wanted it to look small. I wanted it to look... why is there sawdust? Because the people are made of blood. Sorry, I'm reading another comment that says blood. Because they're made of wood. Yeah, well done. I knew at the time people would say, actually, it's probably plastic. And people are going to say right now, it's plastic. I bet you any money, in the next 2 seconds, someone's going to say, but the plastic. Wait. No, we'll keep playing. I'm waiting for someone to say it's plastic. Maybe they'll just say it just to get me to shut the fuck up. Sawdust everywhere. Our brother thought it'd be hilarious. Hey, it's plastic. I'll get your reviews. You think you're funny? Sorry. It's bloody plastic. I'll give you plastic. Killing the fish with your plastic. Plastel. I'll give you plastic. Oh, he's retracted it. Sorry. It's metal. I'll give you metal. I'm just going to do this for the next 3 hours now. I'll give you plastic. Plaster. I'll give you plaster. I'll get plastered. What's I saying? Where am I? Oh yeah, Shed 17. Okay, what I was talking about now. The talking heads, by the way, in Bertha, they don't move the mouths. No, they did move the mouths, that's right. At first they didn't, because they didn't in the series. Same with this, they don't actually move the mouths in the series. But in Bertha, it looked weird. It was like you couldn't tell when you were watching someone, you know, doing something else rather than being a talking head. So I made moving mouths. And so that was a decision for this as well, to give them moving mouths. I know they do it in the series, and it's a plot hole. Doesn't make sense, but it was to, you know, make it clear who's talking.
But such attempts to keep the incidents on Sodor a secret were short-lived after a very public accident.
Again, you know, that's probably the laziest bit. It's a bit I was most reluctant to do. Use all these series clips just to keep it going. So here's Gordon.
We were shocked to discover he had insisted on being able to work on the railway.
I think even though I had a lot of, you know, setup and everything in Project G1, there's probably more in this actually, which is weird because I didn't realise all these fans would be... Oh, there's a joke here about wobbly camera effects. So obviously he's totally still, but what he films is going to move. There you go. So this is the only talking head where the camera actually is handheld. It was handheld. Again, that's a model from the book. I thought it was funny, and you stick to the shot for a little bit, so it looks, you know, just to make it clear what's going on. So that is a superimposed head, a face. At the time, I didn't have any faces, so I had to use stills from the series, and you can see that it still has the interlacing interference. The lines aren't straight. It's got that sort of glitchy sort of Venetian blind effect, you know. Basically there's two frames on screen and it makes it look all sort of weird. So this is stills again. I've made this room. I made a model of this room, and as you can see the doors at the background there are from Arkham Asylum again. Someone spotted this and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Someone's obviously ripped off the game and then put it on a website, and I've just got it and thought, oh, I'll use that.
Then that turns to please to douse the fire.
But that fat bastard held us back.
Now that, Oh, I wish I still had that. Oh, you know what? I think I even looked for that once. That shot of the Fat Controller with the light shining off him. Without... If you see it without the VHS effect over it, it looks really, like, realistic. I think it's the lighting, because the lighting's flickering. You don't get a chance to really see it. Also, there's a depth of field effect going on here, which makes the rendering take forever. The higher the quality of the depth of field, the more frames it has to render for every frame. So you can set it to like 25% quality, and it will, for every frame, it will render 25 times at slightly different angles to give you that blurry background, you know. And so it will focus on the factual. But I think it's the flickery lights that are going on. There's lights off screen which are set to basically wobble at random, and that's what's giving you that burning effect. But without the VHS effect, and unfortunately I don't have this anymore, I'd have to re-render it, but it looks so good.
He wanted to see what would happen.
He argued he had put a lot of
Really, you know, it almost looks, well, compared to the rest of my stuff, it almost looks good. It's a terrible model of Fat Controller. Now look, see Gordon's face? This is when I was still doing flat faces, so it's just a flat. Obviously, they're all in photos, but in later on, I would sort of, you know, try and pull out the nose area and push back the eyes and the mouth and stuff. That's done in the 3D program. The dents as the pressure increases and makes these things. I saw this at school. You do something. You pour, it's boiling water in a fuel, you know, a fuel tank, you know, a fuel container, and turn it, and after a while it'll start go sort of and go inside. They don't explode or anything. It's just kind of interesting. Oh, and I found a nice creepy whistle for this bit. And then, now the bloody eyes, that's from Google. And I think I added streak. I think I added the blood, or streaking blood, going down. The blood on the lenses is stock footage again. You can find all this stuff on YouTube, dead easy. Why is it not sawdust? Exactly, but I know it doesn't make sense. But I wanted to do nice gore and everything. That's what I was going to tell you before. My brother thought it would be funny if we saw Gordon as a human, and he actually has. It would be like little Thomas. He actually has Gordon's face. I thought that is funny, but I really want to do the sawdust joke. I know the blood on the engines and the sawdust face doesn't really make sense, but blue fire. You see, what have I seen this on recently? Where the explosion was blue, the fire was blue. I saw it on something. I just thought it'd be creepy. It's like there's some sort of gas inside him, or it's some kind of burning flesh or something inside him that's making the flame blue. It just, to me, it seemed creepy. That's why I did it. That guy is in the foreground, but he's still been covered by the fire. That's obviously a mistake.
I wasn't as near to him as.
You can cover up bad effects like that with wobbly camera. So this is all done. Was this actually? I don't know if this might have been done in the 3D program, the wobbly camera effect, or it was done later. I suspect I did it at the time because it looks like it's done in 3D. You can set the camera to sort of wobble at random, and if you do it right, it looks pretty good that it's handheld and it's someone running. Usually I'd render the camera just moving smoothly and then later on do wobbly effects. Sometimes you'd render the animation a bit higher resolution so that you're not going to see the edges of the video when you make it wobble, if you know what I mean.
To get away with some singed clothes.
It does look quite good, that, and it does have that depth of field effect. You can tell I'm doing the depth of field effect at quite low quality, so it's only a few renders per frame. Still took days to render every shot on here.
Others weren't so lucky.
The walls, I think, are probably reused. or the shed. Well, I did use it for the shed later.
Fateful few hours following the accident would seal the fate of so
Quite like that. I did for some of this CCTV footage. You can slow down, you can lower the frame rate, but you can it is called posterized time. You lower the frame rate, but then you can set a wiggler effect to it, so the frame rate is juddery and shaky. It's not smooth, so it can speed up and slow down. It gives you a nice sort of CCTV effect. I think I used it more in Project G1 when Diesel crashes.
He kept repeating, "This was all your fault. You knew the dangers. You're legally to blame."
I love the idea that they never call him Fat Controller, they just call him Fat Bastard. That worked quite well. The light helps. So there's a light source there that's just wiggling around. There's no shadows there's no shadows going on, so you can just have the light source inside a model. If you have shadows, then the light won't be seen because it's inside a model and it's projecting shadows instead. The background there is from a render in Bryce, and it's similar to the background there. Basically, it's a nice big high-res render, but it's one still image. And then that is Harold. I'm quite proud of the model of Harold. I know it doesn't look much like him, but I really thought I was going to struggle to make Harold, but he was alright. That's done in 3DS, and he's rendered separately to the background image. And I think I did the same thing as with that Thomas on the crane in Project G1, which is the same background to Project G1. This is the same backdrop because I didn't have Bryce anymore, and I rendered that with green. I think I rendered it as well with green dots in the background, so I could motion track the camera movement so the background moved properly. I think that's what I did. And then he grimaces, so at that point you render the face again, but this time with a grimace, and then you add it when you think it's appropriate. So you put the grimace in when it's, when you think he would start doing that. And then so there's a motion blur effect done in the 3D program, which is fairly straightforward. That flies off, but also there's blood stock footage again going over it, and then that flies off. At first, that was it. The camera is locked to the tail. I think the camera was locked to the tail of Harold, so it followed a certain point, and it looked it follows him, but it's kind of weird, isn't it? It doesn't quite work. Or is it locked to his face? It's locked to his face, that's it. So the camera is always pointing at his face. And then he crashes, and that is a stock image of cracked ground that you just overlay on top of your own image. Again, this is, I found this before actually, these sort of blueprint drawings that someone did. You guys probably know who did this. Probably an image I found in DeviantArt or something like that. And then you get blood vein images, overlay that. And I probably distorted it in distorted it using that sticking plaster effect in Photoshop again, just to make it more chaotic looking.
Vital organs would be drawn into the motor.
Oh, now, my brother, it's always him. He had the idea that Harold's rotor blades would be attached to Harold's gonads. That was it. He had the idea of that. I can't remember if that's what I said in the video now. Maybe I just said more vital organs, I can't remember. Veins. And it's his rotor blades. Yeah, that's where his balls ended up. So this is kind of a TV effect, just sort of ripply effect. I've not done rather than do it as noise, I've done it as kind of a smooth ripple instead, which is wrong. And in the background there is a stock smoke effect. Obviously, doing the rippley effect over it makes it look makes it look like it fits in more, you know.
Henry was the only 420 gauge engine on the island, a large engine that had been working.
So this is a literal penis copter. Yep. So this, again, to me, this is funny to use real footage from the series, and to me, it's one of the more memorable things to the layman like myself. It's showing, you know, one of the more memorable episodes. Oh my god, he has the wrong theme. I know, I got the themes mixed up. Who cares? I made that barrel. At the time, I was quite proud of my barrel.
It was dark, and these sheds all looked thin.
So this is in my... I thought for ages how to do this. Do I just do it as a reconstruction, or do I have CCTV footage or something? The background there is an image of a, I don't know, a gas terminal or something at night with all the lights on. It's just a plane with the image on it in the background. It's very cheap effect.
Keys locks the shed up without seeing what was inside.
I was really thinking out how to do that. Henry going in there. What else do you show? Do you reconstruct the whole thing, or just this shot? I probably felt a bit lazy. I think it was one of the later things I did, and I was kind of fed up. It was just like, holy shit, this video's never going to end. 2 years of this.
But Henry had decided to speak up and confront Sir Topham Hatt.
Lots of stock footage again, footage from the city. This is filler. Lots and lots of this. And then this, I nearly didn't render this. These stills, and I thought, no, it needs it. God knows who took this. Also, look at all the textures are all missing off the table and everything. Why did I not notice that? Because I'm stupid. I found the wallpaper and the carpets and stuff. I mean, I'm good at what looks tacky. But the model, look, you can really see how bad my model of that controller is.
By pure chance, he was sent back to the same shed as Thomas.
There we go. Now, originally I rendered this as one shot. Henry comes in and Thomas leaves. I thought, oh, that's great. And I thought, wait, he doesn't leave when Henry's there. He leaves after Henry's died, after Henry's gone to crew. Henry is... Yeah, I made no effort to make the models match to each other. It was just, you know, try and make them look... I know I got a lot of criticism for the models, but at the time I was just like, all I remember is they were simple models. They were detailed, you know, there's a lot of work went into them, but at the time I was just thinking, just make the basic models, that'll be fine. And look, Thomas is bigger than him. Also, Thomas is not... I mean, I know sometimes my engine's wheels don't match the rails, but that is... I'd never do that now. I've probably shrunk him down, Thomas, because if he was enlarged enough to be on those rails, he'd be massive. He'd be like twice the height of Henry.
17.
Probably should have made an excuse like, oh no, it's just perspective, he's not bigger. World in Action, that was a fairly well-known documentary series on ITV. So the idea here is we've seen footage of Henry already, and it's some program about it's an investigation into the dangerous life of railways on Sodor, you know, and it's controversial. So you see here, this is some more of these photos I've downloaded, but I've removed the rails, and the lights are coming off Henry, but they're not bouncing off anything. They're bouncing off, it's probably a green bumpy texture on the floor, and then I can remove that so it looks as though it's bouncing off the snow in the photo. And the rails obviously are added later. I think it's rails and then some sort of bumpy white plane to make it look like snow. Snow's pretty straightforward to is probably the snow probably it blends in quite well with a snowy photo because it's just white. It's.
Land. Across the highest altitude line.
But you see that the light is bouncing off onto a bumpy white texture, but it isn't. Well, it'll be a bumpy green texture that I've then removed the green, but it's not coming off the actual snow in the photo, if you know what I mean.
That old line was treacherous at best, but
I'm just trying to make it blend in with the actual photo.
It was a death trap.
Paul, haha, this was a total fucking... Oh, right, you're quoting me. I was about to go, you bastard. Sorry. The flying killer, yeah. That come out nice. I thought that one was pretty good. But it's easier to have Henry on my 3D rails than like that Edward scene earlier on where he's having to match rails in a photo. That is hard.
The road to the mainland. It was safe.
So here's some docks.
And the line was declared redundant. Dangerous and unnecessary.
There's that photo we looked at before, and you see how the rails have been moved. I think I've stretched it out as well. Stretched out the image. I think probably so Henry, who's unusually wide, can looks right in the photo.
He always hated Henry. He didn't like his cheerful manner, and he clearly had other lifestyle choices.
Making homosexual references about Henry.
That's
not cool. Damn it, Paul, that's not cool.
On the night of February the 8th, 1980.
That come out nice with the lights again.
On the Kipper Run for a week. The following incidents would be made into a...
So here we're trying to make it fit in with the books and the series. So, lots of photos from the books, lots of footage from the episodes. Quite hard actually to try and mix in the series dialogue and my dialogue, trying to make it work. I had a few different attempts at this. The way I see it, to tell them apart, there's that lighting again, over a real photo. To tell it apart, the series is 4:3, so it's got black borders on the sides. That's what always sort of... I didn't feel as though I had to do an effect on the episode footage or anything like that. Here's these stock trucks and tanks and stuff, and in the background there's those photos of trees, which I think are probably just clip art of trees. And we see camera text in the corner. Anything to give it a bit more realism, and video effects obviously are for realism, but will there be more behind the scenes stuff? So I'll be honest, I'm absolutely fucked. We've still got to get through the horror scene, the end scene, and I'm like, holy shit. Can we go through the After Effects stuff another day? Because honestly, I'm absolutely like... Anyway, so yeah, and then we've got stock explosions. Boom, there you go. So there's a stock explosion going off screen just there. Now, I'm actually quite proud of this. This was all rendered in one go. The trucks all going off in different directions and falling over and stuff. Take your time, you're tired. Take your time, you're an old man. Thanks very much. But yeah, look, all this, it was all done in one shot. I know we cut off it and cut back, but I'm quite proud how this came out. Actually, I think there's only about 3 or 4 trucks that actually fly off there. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. That was quite good though. And you had a glow and everything. Anything to make your stock footage fit in with with the rest of it, anything, glow effects and things like that, colorizing. Obviously video ripple and noise gives everything a nice effect. Video noise is that's alright with Bertha, which is already standard definition, but this is HD. So what do? You render everything low resolution. I'm kind of like, no, I want to keep it high res because that's the point, you know. Anyway, you see that train at the front there. That's obviously, that's one from the book, and obviously I've got the textures totally wrong with that. It looks terrible. The tanks look alright, although the wheels haven't got any texture to them. That last truck that falls over doesn't really look like it's part of the rest of the model. Then we go to the footage again. This worked a lot better. Someone pointed out this works a lot better in the trailer, which is absolutely right, it does.
Alan and Barry died from their injuries. Slowly in snow.
So the yellow is basically it's sunrise. Someone's filming it in the morning. Maybe Henry's been lying there for ages. Here's Henry's screw. This is all done in one shot. Obviously the camera just goes around, then you add video effects and everything. There's not much in the way of trees in the background. Again, this is him. And you do stuff. You change the noise effects to the photo background and everything, just to make it look like it's a different photo being taken, and maybe it's been matched up so you can pan up and down on it and things like that. That's a stock image I found of a spike on Google. Oh, here we go. So obviously I was trying to mimic the Auschwitz fence. So I found a fence. I can't remember where I found it. Like I couldn't find it before, and just added a crew bit in the middle. It's all just Photoshop, but it's a 3D effect. This, so it's a layer in the foreground. After Effects is like Photoshop for video, and your foreground is just this black image, and then your background is a separate image. And what you do, you move them around in 3D. So you make your foreground, you bring your foreground forward, your background, you push that back. So when they move, you maybe add the sky separately, so you move that back. So when you move a camera towards it, you've got that fake 3D effect going on. This is meant to look like it's been made up for. This is meant to look like those images you see in documentaries and stuff, where they take photos and try to think where I've seen it done. They take photos and they cut out like an image, a person in the foreground, to bring that forward to try and make an old black and white photo look like 3D. I'm trying to think what I've seen where they've done that. Documentary I've seen. Not that recently, but I've seen them in the past where they've done that. But yeah, the idea is these are meant to be photos, but the documentary maker has added this sort of 3D effect. That's why the sky looks over the top grim.
Crew, we all knew what that meant.
They'll give you a new shape and
But again, this is Holocaust references.
As the time, one of only 2 scrap metal yards in the UK capable of handling.
You see the foreground is moving faster because it's in the foreground, and the background is after that.
And recycling organic material.
Oh, you know where I saw it? Have you ever watched that Cocaine Cowboys documentary? It's probably too old for you youngsters. If you ever find it, watch it, 'cause it's about the drug trade in Miami in the late 70s, early 80s, and it's absolutely brilliant. And they took photos and they would cut out someone in the foreground and bring him forward, so it would move. It would look like 3D. It was good.
you'll feel a different engine and won't need special coal anymore.
With those few words.
Noise effects are hard to render because
Yes, sir, said Henry.
you've got to keep the bit rates down because you're uploading a half-hour video.
And everything
When
was sewn up nice and neat for that.
here's that wraparound image from Steamtown. Henry there is moving in 3D. That's my early model of Henry, where I basically made Gordon and then made Henry from the Gordon model, and you can see he's still got his blue bits at the front there. But you can tell Henry's moving in 3D. It doesn't quite move properly with the rest of the image. But that's that wraparound image from Carnforth.
As news got out about Henry's accident, it didn't take long for Thomas to realise Henry had been disposed.
Now Thomas leaves, and I got this wrong, and I made a really nice.
Had been put on his own for the night at
Yeah, I made that CCTV foot shot and this shot here, and I got them wrong. And Henry was in this shot, and I had to re-render it without Henry.
A small amount of burning fuel
Gutted.
in his firebox, but he was mostly
I
moving.
think I posted it last year for the 3rd year anniversary.
It took Thomas 3 hours to get to the
There, that's that
his own strength.
posterized time effect, and you make it wobble so the frame rate isn't smooth. It isn't a fixed, like 5 frames a second or anything. It goes faster and lower, faster and lower. Time for me to leave. Bye bye, bug. See you soon.
3 hours to get to the complex.
And it's
The efforts to get there nearly killed
blue
him.
bits, the cold steam pipes. Okay, I'm sorry.
With no one around, he made his
Oh,
way to the
so I'm really trying to add more drama to this, sort of set up that this is the grimace bit, so I'm sounding as sad as possible, and it almost sounds like I'm crying about it. I'm so fucking gutted, mate. Sorry.
shed.
It's really bad, the narration. This is what I want to change. At some point, I want to go back, re-record the voiceovers, because I did some noise removal effects which made it sound bad. Also, when I rendered the final copy that I uploaded, I mistakenly rendered the audio at quite low quality.
What he found
I didn't realise till later,
and many others.
and
Since Sodar research,
so the quality was always bad. So what I want to do is re-record my vocals and maybe just give the sound a bit more of a improvement, and also obviously change that bit of music in the suicide scene. You're arguing again. Planet. Post it to YouTube when finished, John Smith. Why does he keep saying this? John Smith, John Smith. Post it to YouTube, John Smith. Can I? Right, he's in timeout for a bit. It's pissing me off, and I'm not even reading the comments too much. Sorry, lads, I'm not really reading it. Any chance of ever making a remake, Shed 17? Well, no, I'm just thinking I'm going to do, just polish it. I mean, I can't go, but I'd probably like to change this rail yard. It does look shit. Actually, I think I would. I think I'd like to do that. I wouldn't do a George Lucas and remove the original. It'd still be there. I just wouldn't want to. I just want to do a sort of clean it up a bit, you know. One day, I'm happy enough making new stuff for the time being. I'm happy enough with PC Adventures. Although I'm starting to like the idea of Henry and Gordon as a kind of like US sitcom kind of thing. I'm thinking that a more harmony sort of theme tune. Coupled together, torn apart. It's Henry and Gordon. That kind of thing, but we'll do some harmonies and a bit of music, and we'll have we'll play it in theatres so I can record a laugh track. And and every episode will be them just telling people that they're not a gay couple, kind of like an Ernie and Bert thing. Yeah.
the world had asked.
Damn it, Paul, that's not cool. Again, we've got this lighting effect going on. Actually, no, this isn't the same lighting effect I did before. This is actually just an effect over the top of it. It's just a glow and turning up the brightness on certain bits and adding a bit of glow just to make it look like thunder and lightning. It's kind of a cheaper thing. Also, Thomas was rendered separately to everything else. I can't remember why. Oh, because of the smoke. The smoke had to come from behind the Thomas model. So he's separate, and that's why he's not on the rails properly. I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen. Fucking hell, he's not on the rails properly. That's why. Because the smoke effect all the time. If you notice when I do PC Adventures, I'm just like, I can't be asked doing Steam. Fuck it, he's not going to have Steam. It's one of them days where the Steam just doesn't show, okay.
But nearly every operation since had failed.
So we get into the shed, and now we are actually at a model. You can see the outside is totally different to the shed he was approaching. The new outside, I redid it for Project G1. It's got the sign and everything above it. And I changed them doors because the texture didn't work on it. It's not my model of a door either. So there's lots of footage of Thomas moving through here. You'll notice I played a lot of this on the previous stream. And I had this stupid idea at first that Thomas would look around and look at different things, and the rails would be sort of comedically, coincidentally in the right places for him to turn and look at stuff, and it just like total coincidence that there was rails where they should be and all this kind of thing. Kind of like, you know, the rails that go into the sheds so that all the engines can look in. I know that didn't work very well, but it's that kind of silly joke, isn't it? Silly humour. But yeah, I've got lots of footage of this camera slowly moving through, and then from another angle and another angle going through, and then close-ups of certain bits where the camera sort of carries on moving but sticks to certain areas, and comes in here. There's that background again, but we're using a very heavy depth of field effect. There's different ways of doing depth of field effect. This is the fastest, and you see it kind of doesn't work. The higher the quality, the more blurry, you know, the more that will look like a natural blur.
Must have never been the first operation.
But you're all complaining about this John Smith, and I don't even see him talking. Here we go. I made models on Roblox. Okay. Yeah, never mind.
He hadn't even been second.
So he's rendered. So what you do? You render Thomas as a model without pupils. He's got the face and everything. You haven't got pupils, and then you make the pupils almost flat ovals. So they're just like black balls where his pupils should be, and you just make them flat until they're almost completely flat, and you put them where his pupils should be, and you render them separate so that later you can overlay them, put them in later, and you can move them around where you want. Now you could do that in the 3D scene, and sometimes I do that now in PC Adventures, but at the time it's kind of, if you want to change where the pupils are looking, you'd have to re-render everything. In this, you can just change it in After Effects later, you know. So the skeleton is from a book. The rack, I think I probably made the skull a bit big there. The rack is something else from a book. There's a hook coming down from it. That is the crates are mine. They're just textures on normal boxes. The windows are an image I must have googled. You can see these stars in the windows, but it's the same stars in every window. It's like crap. And then you see the blurring going on as well. It takes longer, but this was the final scene, and I mean, it wasn't the last thing I did. I did quite a lot after this. It's weird going back to it after over a year to do the final edit, and you're kind of like, whoa, this is weird. Also, it's heartbreaking to leave out so much footage. You know, you go through and it's like, oh, you know, I rendered all this. This looks nice. This looks nice. Oh no, I've got to leave this out because, you know, you got to keep it moving. You got to keep it entertaining. Also, the voiceover. I was like, holy shit! I have to tell the whole story now. I have to explain everything. It's like, am I going too far? But I thought, no, I have to explain everything now. It's weird. Got to go. By John Smith. It's like do you explain everything? How much do you keep vague? And at one point, I thought, why don't I say nothing? What if the camera just goes through and we see Thomas going through and he sees all this and the viewer makes up his mind. Like 2001 or something. You don't explain anything. He just goes in and he sees what he says. And it's like... I thought, no, that would probably piss people off. So that I thought was weird. You know, they sort of created another Thomas, but he came out massive. But I don't know why that spooks me out. That's weird. There's lots of lighting and shadows in this. Now 3DS on my PC will crash all the time. It'll crash on certain frames. When I was rendering the animations, I didn't render them to a video file. I would render them as what they call image sequences. So when you get to frame 612 and it crashes, you don't have to start from the beginning. You can just render from the next frame, and then the missing frame can be a blend of the previous and the last frame. God, you guys are like wishing death on each other. Will you stop it? I'm very disappointed in you. Honestly, you know, you're making this video seem very nasty. Just kidding. So yeah. And then inside you give it like there's like a grill texture thing there, and there's some bolts which you can't really see there, but there is some there. The tank thing behind him that's connected to the big glass tank, that's a model from the book.
All Ireland's population had known and respected
And
since first arrived.
oh yeah, and you see his face. You see these faces. They're
The real Thomas.
This was probably the first time I started making them bulge. So the nose, it comes out, you know, and the eyes are pushed back a bit, just to give it some kind of 3D depth. That metal thing on the right is from the book as well. The tank isn't. The tank's mine. The tank is. Now you see the tank there. So the tank has a green cylinder in the middle of it, and there's a light in there that's coming out, that's shining out, and there's no shadow attached to it. You can see it's not casting shadows. So it will shine through objects. So it's shining through that tank and shining outwards. And there's a ripple effect going on, which is created in After Effects. I can show you that another day when we go through the After Effects stuff. And so it's kind of like a green screen effect. I'm basically just doing the removing the green of the cylinder and putting in the background this ripply water effect going on. You can kind of see because it doesn't quite move with the movement of the camera. It looks like it's separate to it. In probably this scene, it probably looks alright, but in other scenes, it doesn't. It kind of looks like it's separate from everything else. And you can also see there's a light coming off it. It's shimmering a little bit, and there's a bit of a light right in the middle of the tank. There's a green light there, and that's coming from another light source outside. So that's blocking out the ripply effect. But you know, it's another light. Probably adds another layer of realism. You can see these lights also creating shadows on Thomas's face. So again, it's just a little bit more realism. You know, that really is a Thomas model moving through there. The wheels rolling, by the way. I haven't. You can program wheels to move properly with, you know, with the movement of the engine, but I've never been able to get it to work properly. I've always just moved them, you know, actually rotated them, animated a rotation myself, and trying to rotate it enough so that it kind of matches. It doesn't. If you look at the proper full videos, they don't quite match, and sometimes they're better than others. The last episode of PC Adventures, the ripply effect, ripply. What am I talking about? The wheel moving effect doesn't match at all. There you see, it's not quite matching, is it? It's going a bit fast. Also, I think the back wheel's moving faster than the front two wheels. Weird.
but in fact,
Sorry, I'm losing my mind now. I'm starting to talk about fucking rubbish. We should have done this scene first. I could have told you all about it, man. So he gets close, and we have a bit of a tense moment there. And now you can see the face. So obviously I haven't created a proper 3D face like you would see in the CGI episodes and stuff. I couldn't do that. I know some of you guys make models that have proper faces. I could never do that. No chance, you know. Because again, you've got to do the expressions and stuff as well. So please let this video end. I've had enough of the video. Well, just go offline. Go watch something else. So yeah, I think it works quite well. You just take the texture of the image of Thomas's face and put bulges in certain areas. And then, so there's this hand. Now the hand's rendered separate. All this is rendered separate. And that is basically a skeleton, a rib cage, which I got from a book. And the arms are just cylinders with a metallic sort of texture attached, and the hand and the fingers are again just cylinders that are connected at joints and stuff, so you can move them and that. It's really bad. I've shown images of this on Twitter and that, and it just looks like a bad model. It does have Thomas's face, but it's a sort of distorted face where the eyes go off the top. You see the hand there, it doesn't look like a proper hand or anything, you know, it looks rubbish. When you see this in Project G1, it had to look like, you know, it had to look like something. It had to be a lot more detailed than this. Now, this is a 2D image. So obviously them bolts, Thomas didn't have them at the time. I know he has loads of bolts now, but this is all a still. These are all still images. So the top layer is what I call the fuselage of Thomas. I know it's something else, and what happens is you're going to distort the image. There's two sides to it, and you're just going to distort the image and pull it outwards. This is all done in After Effects later. And you're also going to blend it with an image of crunched up tinfoil. So there's little explosions that are covering up the bolts disappearing. It just stock footage, obviously. And then look, there's a distortion, but at the same time, we're adding another image. We're doing the same effect to that image, and it's crunched up, like I say, crunched up metal, crunched up foil, and that's got and that's happening with it. And we've got a crunched up metal, you know, a creaking metal sound effect going on. And then inside there, again, that's a model. I've got a model of a rib cage with guts, but it's massively distorted so it can fit in there. But again, this isn't happening at all in there. I could never do this in a 3D program. Maybe I could try and do more in 3DS now, but at the time, no chance. Right, so he bends open. Right, so it's completely different. So there he is now. There's a 3D model of him torn open. But it's completely different to what you saw earlier on, isn't it? It doesn't make any sense. And then he's going to rise up, and he isn't. Look, there you see. Now these are still images as well. So you've got the foreground image, which is Thomas opened up. You've got the background image, which is the shed, and then the image of Thomas is just a still image, the rib cage and the guts and the face at the front. The only thing here that's animated is the arms, because they're going to move out and spread out open, kind of like Jesus. It's kind of like what's it called? The Vietnam film. Willem Dafoe like falls to his knees and his arms are open, and that was like the cover of the video. Not Born on the 4th of July, the other one with Charlie Sheen. Platoon, thank you. Oh, Moses the Black, you've been saving me all night tonight. Right, so again, so the image there of Thomas from the back is just stills. The foreground that's why there's a nice blur to that, because thank you Sir 44, thank you Adam Gardner, platoon, thank you. And so it's all stills. The only thing that's going to be animated in 3D is them arms. Look, you see? Well, that is there. When you see it from this angle, hold on. There. When you see it from the angle at the front, that is happening in the 3D program. Watch. That is happening in the 3D program. You can tell he's not bending or anything. All he's doing is raising upwards. And you can tell, you can see part of the model that you're not supposed to see of Thomas is still there, and he's kind of passing through it as he raises up, and the arms are going to open up. And you can see how that I've got the texture wrong. The texture of his eyes and everything are on the sides of the face as well. Look, you see his eyebrows right there on the sort of underside of his face. And he reaches up, and the sound here, for a while I was thinking of just having no music, or just having sort of atonal music, where it's just kind of dramatic, just kind of dramatic, like horror sound, rather than a tune playing. In the end, I went for I actually did go for a tune. I found this tune from the Dune soundtrack, from the 80s, Dune soundtrack. And it's a tune that wasn't used in the film. You can hear bits of it in the film, but not that actual track. And it's absolutely perfect, fits perfectly. So anyway, he reaches up, and again, the pupils are rendered separate. The arms are rendered separate here because they have to pass in front of the pupils. So you've got to do them separately too. Hopefully I'll be able to show you all this in another stream. And then we're going to switch to another render of the eyes being shut. There you go. You see how the pupils went off screen there, but didn't actually go behind his eyes. Didn't go behind his eyelids, they kind of go off screen. Doesn't quite work, see? Oh, I'm rubbish, aren't I? And then he grabs hold, and there's no way I could do this. No way I could have had him close his fingers on his head and pull his face off. There's no way I could have done that. So all this is... So even though we're doing wobbly effects and camera movement, all that Thomas is doing there is stretching out his hands and the face comes off. It doesn't... I'm trying to make it look as though he's pulling his face off, but it doesn't really work. See, you do it nice and fast so you don't show that he hasn't really done it, The inside is the same image of Thomas's face, but it's a copy and it's pulled inwards, so it doesn't you don't see any of it from the front, and you add a bloody guts texture to it. That's all the inside bit is. And then that doesn't make sense at all because it turns as it falls towards the camera. There, it's spinning, but when it hits the ground, it's got to be. It's not moving. It's not. It's not rotating anymore. Again, it doesn't make sense. And this blood is rendered separately, and it doesn't quite match the rails or the ground. There is some 3D movement to it. I think I might be motion tracking, but it doesn't quite match the rails or the ground. Or maybe it matches the ground better than the rails, but it's not matching the rails properly. My cat hates this scream. She runs up and starts fussing and stuff. Oh, she does like it. I can't remember. Losing my voice. Oh shit. Oh. The skull obviously isn't mine. It's another one. It's another very distorted, image model. And I think I added a new texture, that sort of rough, sort of bony texture, but I kept the teeth nice and clean. I thought Thomas would have nice white teeth. And the reveal for this was kind of, how do you do it? Also, I didn't want it to be robots, but I wanted this scream to have a sort of weird alien-y quality. It's a scream I got off YouTube, but there's 2 tracks playing. There's one that's pitched really low, one that's pitched higher, and they're both playing at the same time. And it's quite good because different bits, different parts of it get louder. So sometimes it's the higher pitch stuff that you hear more, sometimes it's the lower bits going on. Also, because I'm nervous, I'm like, oh, is it as horrific as as horrific as it should be? Just for effect, I added like a rumble, which is completely separate to the rest of the sound in this. Just added it over just to give it more impact, anything just to make it more impactful. And again, this is when the music hits. Before this, when Thomas is moving through, there's little bits of music playing all the time, different bits of music playing as he goes through. One bit is from Alien 4, Alien Resurrection, which is what this scene is based on, Alien Resurrection. I should have said this earlier on. So the character Ripley died in the film before, and then she's recreated from her DNA, and she's got, I think, an 8 tattooed on her. And then later on, she runs past... Who's fucking messaging? Just reminding you, fuck me, mate, I'm doing a fucking stream. He knows I'm doing a fucking stream. He's watching the fucker. Sorry. And she runs past the door that says 1 to 7, and she goes in and she sees... Yeah, I don't like the film either. And she sees all these other Ripleys that are all different failed attempts, and that's what's going on here. And there's a hint of that music. There's a little bit of that music as Thomas is moving through. I should have said it earlier, sorry. I'm not very good at this. So a lot of this is all done in the 3D program. The camera's filming, but the camera has the camera has a wobble done in the 3D program. So what you do is you set a pointer, you say concentrate on this bit, which in this case is the face. Sometimes it's fixed to the face totally, so as Thomas moves, the camera moves, and you set the camera itself to wobble side to side really fast, really rapidly, and you've got the motion blur going, and you point, but the camera, wherever it moves, is pointing straight at the skull. So the skull's always in focus, and the rest of it's kind of getting blurry because there's this motion blur going on. You can see there it's going on, but it's done. And I rendered this a couple of times. I rendered it with quite an extreme wobble, which is most of this, and some of it is not as extreme wobbling. I think there's some of the depth of field effects sometimes in this as well. But you see how the foreground's wobbling, the background's wobbling quite a lot because that goes off in the distance, but the skull isn't, because the camera is usually... Oh no, that's right. Sorry, I'm miles away. The camera is focusing on different places. That's right. I was making the focus point further away, then more towards the skull, and then further back again. I was changing it. That was right. So it was focusing on different areas. I got the idea. You're gonna say, Paul, you suck when I say this. Got the idea from the film Hulk, the Eric Bana one, when he's changing and the camera kind of shakes and wobbles, but it's kind of still focusing on him. And the camera's kind of wobbling and stuff, but it's always focused on him. That was where the idea come from. But there's different kind of wobbles going on here. There's also an extreme glow effect, like a J.J. Abrams kind of lens flare effect going on, which is too extreme. It's too much. Then the camera's panning around here, but I think the wobble effect there is going up and down, and here it's going side to side. And as the screen And I had to credit someone for that line. I think it was Sam the Angel Fox. Yeah, it was. He came up with the line all we thought was he was really useful, and that was absolutely perfect. There is more dialogue I wrote for this, and it was like someone we could work with, someone we could rely on, and this stuff about almost like a slave. It was that kind of thing, but I didn't have room for it. I mean, I couldn't just keep showing that for about fucking 10 minutes. And when the scream gets louder, the rumble got louder as well. So it's, and it's completely separate rumble. It's not part of the music, not part of anything else. It's just in the background, just to give it more extreme. Probably doesn't work if you're watching on a mobile phone. All you just get is distortion. Oh yeah, the wobble on the side view there when he screams again is done in after fuck off. Sorry, this asshole, he knows I'm fucking doing this. Why is he messaging me? Someone wanted me to fucking he wanted me to put his video on this stream. And I'm like, well, if I do that, everyone's going to want me to do that. And he still fucking made sure it was rendered and stuff for tonight at this time. And I'm like, I said, it's not fair on everyone else. I know what'll happen. It's like when I posted that Annie and Clarabelle trailer on Jacob's channel. All I got was, why don't you let me put it on my channel? I helped you and all this kind of thing. Oh, he's watching. Sorry, mate. I will watch it, I promise. Anyway, now I'm done upsetting people. By the way, Ginger Ninja Lewis is making a really good video involving Roblox and characters he's made, and you should all follow because it's some enormous video that he's making. It's great. So anyway, anything like this wobbly effect and that, and the depth of field effects and stuff, give it more realism. Gets it across. It's nice. You see when it's on one shot for a while, you see how the focus is changing. It's focusing further back, and then it's focusing more on the face, and it's focusing further back in. Just watch. It goes back. See? Goes to the head, and then it goes back again. The head's out of focus. See? It's good, isn't it? The channel you should follow is Ginger Ninja Lewis. And then this, I thought I left this text on long enough for people to read. Actually, no, that was really fast. Even I couldn't read it then. But I learnt from people's reaction videos. Oh, now this was in the 80s. Sellafield, which is a nuclear processing plant, they would transport radioactive waste in these containers by rail, and everyone was complaining about this. They were saying like, well, what happens if the train crashes? What happens if the train crashes and another train crashes into one of these tankers? So they actually set this up. They set up they simulated a crash. So they put one of these tankers across, one of these containers across a railway line, and then had a properly weighted train. So this train has weights and stuff where the passengers and the drivers would be, and they crashed it into this container, and presumably there was something in the container like smoke or something that would be seen if it was opened, if it was broken open. So obviously I just put over an image of, I think that's probably Toby. Imagine if you're the fellow who has to set it off and then jump out. He's like, sets it off and drives off, and just force of habit, he starts driving. He's like, oh shit, I should have jumped out. And you have to be careful with this because there's quite a few people standing around. There's some people on the side there. What the fuck are you doing? Get out of the way. I was quite, even though it's quite low quality sort of YouTube footage from low quality 80s news footage, but it's still quite pleased. Oh, you see how the grass was on the back of that thing there? I still think it's quite the face, fits to the engine quite well. Actually, looking at it now, it's not as good. I probably could have made it better now, but never mind. And then that's the container, obviously, that it crashes into, and it didn't leak. But Greenpeace said, "Oh, they cheated because of this, this, and this." There's that footage again. I thought that came out really good. I wish I still had. One day I'll have to re-render it just to show people without the VHS footage effects going over the top. There's some blood added there where the eye sockets are. The idea is, it's like, what the hell would Thomas look like now? How would they recreate him as a human? What would he look like? And Project G1, that was kind of my image. I have a friend who I did a video with years ago. He's a really good laugh, really good lad, and he lives in China now, and he has a Chinese girlfriend, and I've been telling him to watch Shed 17. It's hard to watch in China because obviously it's hard to see YouTube and stuff. And after I said to him, "Oh yeah, it's called Shed 17, you'll have to watch it," after that I was kind of like, "Oh shit, I forgot about this." And the Project G1 with the MMA referee. I know that's Japanese, but it's still a bit offensive. Also, I just realised just this week, because he's just come back this week, just to visit, I realised that PC Adventures has that Tiananmen Square thing in the titles. Whoops. This is like the time I watched a reaction video of Shed 17, and it was a German lad. I was like, oh shit. Oh, it's midnight. Damn. Yeah, I was trying to find some Chinese dialogue, and at first I was looking for news footage. There was that news thing where someone had found this weird alien plant, and it turned out to be a sex toy, and it was on like Chinese news. But the dialogue wasn't very good. This is actually from Chinese translation of a Thomas episode, because you can hear him say Gordon. Let's listen. Wait a sec. This is some stock music as well. This is when I discovered Incompetech, where you get. Wait, what about a sex toy? Never mind. Oh, that's not cool. Steam of the steam train. That's South Park, that. What was I going to say? I can't remember. Oh yeah, it's from Incompetech, and I found this, but I found lots of other music, and it was it wasn't overly dramatic music. That's what I liked. It was good for. And it was it's like documentary footage, you know. I thought he said Gordon, and I can't really hear it properly on this. But there it is, he's electrocuting that train. That's maybe a truck face, I'm not sure. That is a model, again, from these books, and the textures haven't loaded properly, that's why they're all a bit weird there. And this is an electric train, even though the line you're about to see doesn't have electric wires. Again, this is just a photo of Tibet, and I've added rails there. The Scream is quite a famous one, isn't it? It's like, if you look for best movie Scream or whatever on YouTube, you'll find this one. This guy goes, and it sounds like a TIE fighter. And then that's it. The music at the end, this is from an 80s TV series. It was like a mini-series called Firstborn. And it was about... no, it's not the Wilhelm scream. And it's about Charles Dance breeds a human with a gorilla. And then he's told by the government to destroy it. And he won't destroy this baby. And he brings it up. and it's about how it grows up, and it won't stab people. It tries to join the army, but it won't stab like a mannequin that you practice on and stuff, and like a bag you have to stab, and he won't do things like that. And then in the end, he finds out who he is, meets his mother, this gorilla, but then the gorilla kills him, but his wife's pregnant, and then the baby they have still makes the same noises as the baby crossbreed did. But it had this really cool bit of music, this theme tune by Hans Zimmer, who now does every film in the US. Sam the Angel Fox, there he is. Hello, Sam the Angel Fox. And I had a bit of problem crediting Sam the Angel Fox, because I had to say, look, I can't call you Sam Fox, because Sam Fox was a famous tits out model in the 80s in the UK. Interesting fact. So yeah, and then we have this thing. So Shed 17 to me is a kind of ITV or Channel 5 documentary, not very well researched, just kind of remember when this happened, that kind of thing. People in Britain will know what I'm saying. They're not in-depth documentaries. They're kind of just entertainment, what do they call it? Sensationalism. And ITV does this thing with titles, or it did, where all the titles would look the same. There'd be this white lettering on black or a blue background, and then they could push it to one side and show you what's coming up next or coming up next week. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Project G1 to me was always like a sort of Netflix documentary, more research and tells you stuff you didn't already know. And in fact, I think Keith talks about it. He says, like, I think everyone knew what really happened in Shed 17, but I don't think the documentary showed you anything new. That's kind of the effect I was going for, which I know this music doesn't really suggest that, and massive reconstructions don't really suggest that, but I suppose now, I suppose if you're American and you're the best example of cheesy documentaries would be like Discovery Channel. They used to do quality stuff, and now they've discovered it's cheaper to show arguing bikers and arseholes in a shop. Coming up next, it's another episode of Arseholes in a Shop. It's a triple bill of pawn shop arseholes and arguing bikers and fishermen swearing. Anyway. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, so at the time of this, so there was a whole Jimmy Savile thing before this, and History Channel. History Channel's now, were there aliens at the first Thanksgiving? That joke on South Park, but that is absolutely what it is, At the time over here, there was the Jimmy Savile thing. He was like a big kids' TV presenter, then he turned out to be the biggest sex offender of all time after he died. So I thought, let's do this joke, because this will be topical. But by the time I finished the video, it wasn't really topical, but I still did it. Someone else actually beat me to it. When I was looking for photos of Mr. Ship, who's that sailing fella there, someone had actually took a photoshopped a photo of, I think it's two cops with this guy, and they've made him look like Mr. Ship getting led away. But anyway, I still thought it was funny. And then and I thought, would it be amusing to show Robin and Rosie? There's Robin and Rosie. Oh yeah, that's right. Then their Gran and Mr. Ship, the sailing guy. He would always be teasing them. So they say, "Oh, you're teasing." I'm a sick bastard, aren't I?
How much did ITV know?
So I had this idea that they would grow up, and one was a tramp, and one is a racist on a train. These are probably still big on YouTube and stuff, people being racist on trains and all this kind of thing. You can see there where I've tried to make the hand pass in front of the face. I didn't really do it properly in the final video. Oh no, look, I got it wrong there as well. See that? I got it wrong there as well. I didn't get it wrong in that render before. I got it wrong in the original. Oh, I'm useless. On the right hand side here, lots of credits to me. I'm just getting them out of the way because you're meant to be looking at, you're not meant to be reading that, you're meant to be looking at the other. So I kind of got those bits out of the way.
Of Cockleshell Bay.
And then we cut back to, there we go. So, Joe's My Tiny Tank Moose, Sam the Angel Fox came up with the line. There you go, that's right, yeah, additional dialogue. So he definitely came up with the, we always thought of him as really useful, and I think there was some other stuff. I just thought it was genius. And then Thomas Tank Moose, he provided faces, he was telling me about the Two-Face engine, he told me about Boulder. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Boulder? It's like, is it real? What the fuck? You know. So Boulder's suggested at the end here. That's my brother. He went to various stations and railway lines, sometimes with me, and we recorded stuff, and he took lots of photos. He takes amazing photos. We went to the lakes once, and he took this photo of a toadstool, mushroom toadstool, whatever they are. And I'm like, fucking hell, you're taking a lot of photos of that toadstool. And he showed me these photos later, and he didn't touch them up, he didn't do anything to the photo, he just showed me this photo he took, and I was like, holy shit, that wasn't what I saw. That was like, this is like some weird, freaky fucking, you know, Lord of the Rings fantasy alien plant thing. I was like, holy crap. And he hadn't done anything in Photoshop or anything, it was just the photo he took. It was brilliant. There's Abby, she did the human Thomas and Thomas's fat mate. Damn, I forgot all about this. So when Thomas was I was trying to find a no recording, and I looked everywhere, and I thought, where will I find something? And then I got Dan recording no a couple of times on earlier videos, some which were 10, 15 years old at the time. That was perfect, and then I recorded him for real for this. There's me doing obviously I'm the narrator, Keith Andre, Alistair Burnett, that was it, not Sandy Gall. Alistair Burnett was the ITN fella, Brian Walden. Sir Topham Hatt, I think the only voice did for Topham Hatt was, oh, you get off my effing platform. And then for some reason in Project G1 I turned him into a Cockney penguin. This is all this music from Incompetech. You have to credit him, but it's all, but you'll have seen it on other people's videos as well. He's I think what he does, he gives it away for free, even if you're doing a commercial video, but I think he makes his money by being commissioned to make original music for people. I think that's how he does it. So I had to think of a band name for me for the Thomas theme. So Rotund Director, parody of Fat Control. I know Fat Control used to be the Fat Director, but Rotund Director, I thought it was quite funny. I'm still trying to think of a band name. It's somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but sort of extreme sounding, but also a bit lame. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's from Final Dream. That's the unused music from June. June's a weird film. If you ever watch it, do watch it. It's very odd. It's him that made Twin Peaks. Can't remember his name. Those those two tracks are from Final Fantasy Spirits Within, which is a fairly old film now, 3D film. It's called Anime. And it's very good. If you get the soundtrack, it's very good for getting nice dramatic music for a video. I've used it for a lot of stuff. I used it for my Battlestar Galactica spoof years ago. Very good for music. Obviously, you're not meant to use it, but what the hell? I'm not making any money out of this, so fuck it. And there's, and I used real tracks as well. But, I'm not making any money out of this. Sorry, And there's the guys that helped me. So, Thomas Tank Moosh had a big thing about Johnson and Friends. So that's his website. That's his website, fan website. Point at that. And Sam the Angel Fox, that's his YouTube channel, Thomas Tank Lover Sam. I don't know whether they're still going anymore, hopefully. Actually, I still follow Sam the Angel Fox. I think he does, his videos still come up. Still watch them. And then this is my sort of typical Paul's Vids logo at the end. Oh, here we go. That's not a copyright, by the way. There we go. And end with Boulder. I always like to end with like a little shot, like Bertha had Roy Kinnear, who did the voiceovers. For Bertha. So I have a photo of him at the end, and the end of Dan Duke I had a photo from Tomorrow's World, all the Tomorrow's World presenters, because we did a bit of a mimic of that. I probably should have thought of something better for that, but there's Boulder. I want to have Boulder there somewhere. And don't go to the blog, it's not there anymore. Oh, here we go. So again, this was kind of topical, but by the time I'd finished it, it wasn't so much. But it just seemed kind of cool to put it in. That's not really cool. It's not really very nice to say, is it? Cool. Most people died in it. And so you see what I was demonstrating before. We cut from the bubbles, so the bubbles end up overlaying the blue sea footage. And then we cut to this, which is someone else's. I think it's a round engine's face, and I made it square. Can't remember. Is it Henry? Anyway. And there's the end! A nice big build up at the end. And that's it! Holy shit, that took a long time. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought a couple of times there. I was kind of losing my mind. Oh, someone never saw it. Oh, I'm sorry, mate. I've just spoiled a nice bit of the film for you. So, I do have this After Effects stuff, but I'm going to have... I'll show you this bit, because someone did ask. So, there's the hand and the fist and everything. And over the top... Right, so that's the background. That's green. In front of that, we've got the hand. So there it is with the background. So it's a black hand. So it looks rubbish, doesn't it? Though, right. In front of that, another green solid. I think that's just to give it. That's it. Yeah, it's just to give it a bit of brightness. There you go. So that's over the top of that. Another green solid. Now that green solid is a. It blends it. No, what is that? Oh, that's just going over the hand, and the idea is it's clear. The wrist is it's clear at the bottom, and as the hand gets closer, it fades out. That's it. Yeah, it's fading out as the hand gets closer, so it looks as though it's banging. It looks as though it's passing through this thickness to the liquid. Then we've got right, so that's the Ripley effect over the top of it. So if we take everything away, that's the Ripley effect. Come on. There we go. That's it. That's it going. Good, eh? And and over the top of that, so here we are. So we've added the ripple, and then over the top of that we've got the edge of the tank, and over the top of that, that's some stock cracking glass. There's more because he's hitting it a few times. Oh, there's a third one because he's hit it 3 times, and over the top of that, what is that? What is over the top of that? What is that? What is that over the top of? Oh, here we are. Oh, it's the transform layer. It gives it that wobble when the fist hits. So there you go. That was interesting. So yeah, at some point I will go through that and show you more. Oh, I didn't do the thing. There we go. I was meant to show it that way. Sorry. I'm not very good. You just seen all. Oh, no, you haven't. I was going to say you've seen all the names of my different bits of footage. Reek Thomas and Skullface Thomas. But what the heck? So I hope you all enjoyed yourselves, guys. And I hope you'll all come back another day. And yeah, we'll go through the After Effects another time if that's okay. I'm absolutely knackered. It absolutely kills me, this. My voice starts going. I feel like absolutely buggered now. So I hope you all enjoy yourself. If you sat through the whole thing, well done, guys. Because that's pretty cool. And I will speak to you all very soon. Ta-da!